Oh, geez. Here we go. Of course, Jessica and I were both here at the proper time. But for some reason, even though she is set as a co-host, she is still not set as a co-host. So she had to log out. I sent her a new link. And hopefully when she comes back, she will be a co-host. By the way, are you all hearing me say this? Explain this? Am I live? I'm looking in the chat. I'm looking at you, Marley. I'm looking at you, Rob. Can anyone hear me, or am I talking to myself? Oh my goodness gracious. Someone tell me that they can hear me. Oh, perfect. Now I'm waiting for Jessica. We're live.
Why did you go live without me?
Because it was time to go live.
Oh my God.
I sent you a new link and it says you're a co-host.
It does?
Yeah.
I can't do anything.
Oh, well.
I hate it here.
Someday we'll figure it out. Where'd you go now? Oh my goodness gracious. This is the beginning. This is only the first 2 minutes. What is happening to me? By the way, I will be drinking some pure leaf tea before I go into my full pitcher of screwdriver that I made. This is an entire bottle of vodka and like half a bottle of orange juice. Hopefully that'll be done in 3 hours. This is just some tea. I will probably at some point be eating White Castle sliders and French fries. What happened to Jess? Where'd she go? Listen. This is the way What's Up Weirdo is. This is the way the podcast. This is the way our lives roll. Oh, there she is again.
This is going good.
Why you disappear before?
Because I figured it out. I had to log in to StreamYard and now I see everything.
You're a co-host?
Mm-hmm.
Ah!
I didn't. I can share anybody's comment that I want to.
You know what this means?
What?
It means that you could have always probably been a co-host because I've always had you said it's co-host and you've said it's my fault and you're just not logging in to StreamYard.
That sounds not true.
Yeah, your reaction says otherwise.
I don't know what I'm doing, okay?
Old man Tenney knew what he was doing the whole time.
Okay. Hi, Marley. Hi, Melissa Blackman. Love you. So, somebody's car alarm is going off. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but it's really cool.
That's perfect.
Yep.
You know what I spent the day doing?
What?
Spent the day mowing my lawn.
I know.
And reading my AARP bulletin.
Oh my God. How's it feel to be 85?
I found all about the toughened rules of Medicare for seniors. And in this issue, falling safety, stuntmen tell you how to prevent injury.
Probably don't do stunts would be like the first one.
But if someone's going to tell you how to not fall down, it should be a stuntman, right?
I guess. Do you have a drink?
I have this, which I showed to everybody.
Oh, what the fuck is that?
I made a pitcher of screwdriver.
Oh my God, you're so smart.
I used a whole bottle of vodka and half a bottle of orange juice.
Cool. I guess I'll be hosting the after show all by myself.
I am going to be a little bit floaty. I might be already. I did a couple shots before the show started.
I didn't do anything. This is my very first Tito's and lemonade in a Loch Ness Monster glass.
I gave you that Loch Ness Monster glass. Here, let me pour my first screwdriver.
Tenney, go night-night.
What?
Melissa Blackman commented, Tenney, go night-night.
Tenney, go night-night. And I will be drinking this out of a Fang Burger glass.
Very cute. We're like very much similar. That's like the same. We're the same.
Same brain. You texted me today as I was calling you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That happens a lot.
It was the same brain moment for sure.
That happens a lot. Thank you, Jana. I have purple on instead of black.
Whoa, I have black on and my room is purple.
Oh. Crazy time.
Now that you're a co-host, do you see how you can like click on people's comments and
I
stuff?
do. The weird part is I can't like them, but I can show them. Oh wait, no, there's a little star. Okay, I can like it. Mink, there's a
See?
star.
Oh, see, look at that. You're already learning how to co-host after this. Is this the 4th time we've done this?
I think so. And that's not counting the Patreon only hangs. So it's probably like the 6th time we're doing it or something.
That's good math.
Hmm.
Boy, do people love when we have insignificant arguments on Twitter.
Oh my God, bro, I was getting heated. You're fucking annoying. I swear to you, I'm like, I'm done with my phone for right now. I went in the bathroom, I put on the most annoying fucking emo ever and lived my truth and danced around, and now I feel much better. Red eyeshadow that blends. What's that from? It is the Morphe. It's a Morphe palette. It's like Morphe 35 something. Next time I have to go to the bathroom, I'll just bring it back with me and I'll show it to you guys. But I love Morphe eyeshadow. They're the shit.
I don't know what kind of eyeshadow I use.
Well, you should probably find out. Will you use eyeliner the other day?
That's what I meant, eyeliner. I don't know what type of eyeliner I used. Next time I go to the bathroom, I'll look.
Grab your eyeliner.
I'll update the group on my makeup choices.
Okay. How you guys doing today?
How are you doing today?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I'm fucking stressed. I've been doing shit for this show all day. I didn't eat. I forgot to eat for half the day. Then I'm like, okay, I have to take a break and eat. I did 2 loads of laundry, checked with all the guests, posted it on everything, posted it in Patreon. What is that?
I ordered White Castle Impossible sliders and French fries.
Oh my God, bro.
It just got here, bro.
You should have got some delivered for me. That would have been so cute if we both held it up, but I guess fuck off for me, I guess.
Well, you were arguing with me about Yunha.
About what? Oh.
You?
Yeah, no, I can't with you right when that. I can't. I can't.
You just don't like that John Tenney likes cool things.
You don't ever like being wrong for 5 fucking seconds. Like, I know that you're the smartest guy alive, but like, bro, take a L every once in a while.
I often take a L.
You never take the L.
Always.
I always take the L. Telling people I don't know where cinnamon comes from and shit. I'm taking the eternal L for everybody's betterment. So that you know things. I'm so excited for everybody to hear our new episode. I was thinking of parts from the new episode when I was going to sleep. I'm like, that's going to be so fucking funny.
And you were cackling.
I know. We were talking about in heaven if you still have to cut your hair and your nails.
What's up, weirdo? The important theological issues of the day.
If anybody ever asks us what our podcast is about, that's just all I'm going to say.
We talk about if you go to heaven, do you still have to get a haircut?
Oh, we're so stupid.
It's the stupidest thing, but it's so funny.
It just organically gets there every time. It just evolves into madness.
It's because our brains are a little loopy, I think.
We just have a lot of questions. We're just very inquisitive nuggets in the wild.
That's why we get along with so many people.
I know. Just trying to know everything.
Did you fight with anybody else today aside from me?
No.
No.
I don't think. No. I washed Toad's face because he's been digging in the dirt outside, so he has like dirt face. So I figured he would be on here eventually, so I didn't want to look like I have a dirty child. So I washed the dog's face. I gave him lots of toys already. I ordered groceries delivered. Where the fuck is Toad? He's in the window.
How much more dirt do you have to put on your front lawn?
I'm done. We did 4 truckloads of dirt, shoveled it in and shoveled it out. Like
all the dirt is done?
Grown ass men. Yeah, it's fucking done.
All the dirt is out of bags?
Listen, we dumped 70 bags of dirt, 70 40-pound bags of dirt all by ourselves, me and my friend Kelsey. And then she has a full-size fucking truck, and we shoveled in dirt and shoveled it out 4 loads all by ourselves. All that dirt is on the yard too. And it still doesn't look like jack shit.
But you need plants.
It just doesn't look like. You would think 4 truckloads of dirt and 70 bags of dirt would be like a mountain. It's fucking nothing. It's depressing. And then it rained twice, and now it's flat. My yard is just really ruining my life, but it's going to be cute. Bex is actually going to be here tonight. She'll probably be here during the Patreon after show. She'll probably get here. Did you do before and after photos? I did take before photos. It's not. I will show everybody when it's done. It's weird to hear you guys without all the squeaking. Yeah, he'll get there. He's literally so cutely sitting in the window with his little toy.
He literally, when you and I first signed on.
There he is. Look at him, little chungus on his little. He's like, who, me? Him on his little lily pad.
Toe to thin.
Oh, here he comes.
Here he goes.
There he comes.
Here we go. Now it's over.
Now it's over. Here he comes.
Literally, when we first signed on,
Here he comes.
he was barking so loud.
Here he comes. Here he comes. Here he comes. Munchkin boy. Oh, bless him. Munchkin boy. Munchkin boy. Oh, that was a happy jump.
That's a little happy jump.
Oh, happy jump. You just be on a show. You just want to be on the show. Okay.
Uh-oh.
What? Oh, shoot. Our first guest is here. On time.
What's up, weirdos?
Are you in a bathroom?
What's up, weirdo?
Wait, what is that? It looks like a bathroom.
It's not a bathroom.
Bar area?
It's like an alcove area in this apartment in Bahia, Brazil.
Yeah, zooming in from Brazil.
I was just about to ask where you were at and what time it was.
It's an hour later than Eastern time, so it's 7:12.
Well, that's not too bad.
Nice. Good. I thought it was going to be like 3 a.m. or some shit.
Yeah, it's south, not east.
Yes. Yeah, you're right.
Right. Yeah.
You're right.
All
your pictures have been so pretty. All the stuff you've been seeing. Jeez.
Yeah. This is one of the coolest cities to visit in Brazil, maybe even more so than Rio de Janeiro. It's kind of the cradle of Afro-Brazilian culture. So just a lot to see here, a lot to do.
Plus, I'm sure a ton of good music and food.
Oh, yeah. Right. And they have these June festivals going on right now. So there's street parties everywhere. And yeah, it's just off the hook.
And you're stuck inside talking to two dummies.
I'll be bolding as soon as we're done talking Santa Muerte.
Yeah.
So
would you want to give everybody your bio, or do you want me to do it? I don't know what to do.
Go ahead.
Okay. You guys, this is Dr. R. Andrew Chestnut. He is a Bishop Walter F. Sullivan Chair in Catholic Studies and Professor of Religious Studies in Virginia Commonwealth University. He's the author of the first academic book in English on the fastest growing new religious movement in the Americas. The book is called Devoted to Death, Santa Muerte, the Skeleton Saint. Translated into 1 billion different languages already, as well as you've done numerous book chapters, journal articles, and scores of media interviews. And you did one of the craziest interviews I ever saw on YouTube with this crazy religious girl.
Right. The evangelical woman.
Yes.
Yeah, that was quite a challenge.
Oh my God. I have so many questions about that.
Fire away.
Okay, so yeah, so there was this devout Christian girl who had you on her YouTube. I don't know. You were so kind, first of all. You were so patient. You could tell she had you on the show and just was in no way going to bend anything that she already thought. She didn't even entertain anything that you were saying. She was trying to turn all of this into some human trafficking, evil bullshit. It was so intense.
But I didn't bend. I didn't bend either. I held my ground.
You did not.
As well. And no. I knew who she was in advance, so I was prepared for that.
Yeah.
And I'd never done a real opposition interview like that in like 13 years of doing Santa Muerte interviews. So it actually was kind of cool as a welcome challenge.
Yeah.
Is she like known for like confrontational interviews?
No, I don't think she is.
Yeah.
I don't think that's her MO. But she was going off on Twitter like a month ago on Santa Muerte, and I happened to see that because she was tweeting some of my stuff to feed into her propaganda. So I'm like, okay, if you really want to talk about Santa Muerte, I'm kind of the academic expert, so I'm happy to talk to you. So, kudos to her for accepting that too.
Right. Yeah. Do you find that like the kind of ideation that's happening around Santa Muerte right now mimics like a satanic panic that was happening before?
Oh yeah, definitely. In fact, just last week, there was a Newsmax correspondent who was going off about how Santa Muerte is a real threat and to our open border policy, and that all the faith communities in the U.S. need to be aware of the evil that is Santa Muerte associated with the Mexican drug cartels. So, it was basically obviously aimed at white evangelicals, but also kind of a indirect pitch for Trump 2024 as well. So yeah, that is definitely happening much more than it did in the last election campaign cycle.
Yeah, I've always found it interesting when you have something like Santa Muerte where you have this embrace of, there's obviously the Grim Reaper symbolism, but like if you tried to explain Christianity, because Catholicism to someone who had no idea about Catholicism, and you were like, yeah, we have to transmute bread into body and wine into blood and eat his body and drink his blood, and we have to look at him dead on a cross. Like, it could probably be spun to not sound so great.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. From an anthropological perspective, what you're talking about, I mean, it's just kind of spiritual cannibalism, right? So, yeah, definitely, and of course, Santa Muerte can be viewed as a kind of hyper goth type of Catholicism too, because without Mexican colonial Catholicism, there is no Santa Muerte. She could have never arisen in a Protestant cultural context.
Yeah, I think it's interesting where I am on my kind of journey of thinking about especially religious philosophies. Like, it's always interested me when there are kind of a re-embrace of female goddesses and female archetypes for spirituality, because in my brain, I grew up without any religion whatsoever. And it always was interesting to me that God was the man and, Mary is the mother, right? No one's more powerful than God, supposedly. But in my life, like, someone's mom is more powerful than them.
Right. Well, and that's a great point on Santa Muerte, because in most of Latin America, I'm a specialist in Latin American religion. In most of Latin American Catholicism, Mary is a more important figure than Jesus himself, or even God, who tends to be this kind of remote figure up in the sky. So yeah, I mean, Latin American Catholicism is definitely Marian. So one of the interesting things here on the Mexican religious landscape, 2 of the 3 giants are females, the Virgin of Guadalupe and Santa Muerte. The other big one is Saint Jude, who's the patron of lost causes. And so he'd be the only male giant of the Mexican religious landscape. So yeah, her, being a fierce female figure during a time of, there's a femicide epidemic happening in Mexico in which 10 women on average are killed daily, mostly by boyfriends and husbands. And so a lot of female devotees look to the Saint of Death for protection from abusive men.
Yeah. Wow. Holy shit. Do you find, is there any crossover, like when you're speaking of like female saints, do you find any like Fatima stuff as well?
Well, right. Fatima is the patron saint of Portugal, and she does have a presence in Mexico and Latin America in general, but the obvious correspondence is with the Virgin of Guadalupe. In fact, there's even a mashup figure. I wish I could show it on my screen here. There's a mashup figure that I call Guadamuerte, which has elements both of the iconography of Santa Muerte and the Virgin of Guadalupe. And the Catholic Church in Mexico finds this particularly abhorrent, because you're taking the leading symbol of Catholicism in Mexico, the Virgin of Guadalupe, and then mashing her up with a figure that the Catholic Church sees as satanic. So yeah, Fatima's there, but I wouldn't say she's directly related to Santa Muerte, unlike Guadalupe.
In that interview, there was a couple different parts that you brought up that I thought were so fire. She kept saying over and over again, the cartels this, the cartels that, the cartels always have Santa Muerte. And then you said they actually idolize Christian stuff more usually, and she was just not trying to hear it. So that was amazing. And then the other part was that you were saying that Santa Muerte is amoral, so she doesn't judge like LGBTQ plus people. And you said that a few times. I thought that was so rad. I don't know if there's more that you want to say about that, but
yeah, I think, one of her powerful appeals for not only Mexicans, because she's also growing really fast here in the United States as well, and there's also lots of European devotees, is that she's known as the saint who never judges, and so obviously if you're LGBTQ plus, you've probably been discriminated at some point, particularly more in a Latin American context, but still also in our country as well. If you're a narco, or if there's still problems with racism and discrimination on sexual orientation. And so for many folks who've been discriminated because of these different identities, I think Santa Muerte is a really powerful figure because she accepts you as you are, no matter what your skin color is, no matter what your sexual orientation, no matter what your nationality. And so it's ironic when I sometimes see Santa Muerte devotees criticizing other ones and getting all judgy, because that contradicts the whole point of Santa Muerte, who's supposed to be accepting of all, but devotees don't always practice that, right?
Right.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, another thing too that I thought was interesting is this is like, some people think voodoo is a closed practice and different stuff like that. Is Santa Muerte like an open practice?
Excellent question. There's a very small minority of folks who would say yes, this is a closed practice that's exclusively for Mexicans and Mexican Americans. However, I'd say they're probably less than 1% of the 12 million devotees, and they're almost exclusively here in the United States. They're not Mexicans, because Mexicans, because I actually did most of my research in Mexico. My wife is from the western state of Michoacan. All my Mexican family is there. Mexicans really are welcoming of international devotees. So the problem here is with a small minority in the United States who gets all radical about, no, you got to be Mexican or Mexican American. But yeah, I would say that's less than 1%. Nice. But they're probably overrepresented on TikTok, like much is, right?
Yeah. Totes.
Yeah, I guess one of the things I was going to say when you were talking, I was thinking, like, you see this kind of demonization happen, though, whenever there's a rise of a spiritual figure who is accepting of all people, right? Like, immediately the power structures that are in place have to make a play to keep their power structure. And they don't want a saint or a religious figure or a prophet to speak to all people and represent all people.
Exactly. That's a great point. Many times the powers that be thrive on dividing us by all these separate identity categories, by race, by nationality, by class, by sexual orientation. And if here's a kind of liminal saint who brings us all together, taking her side to cut through these barriers, then yeah, that's potentially a threat to the status quo in Mexico and the United States and other places where she's growing fast. Yeah, excellent point.
How did you get started? Like, how did she discover you or you discover her?
Yeah, I actually reveal that in the first pages of my book here, but I'll tell you. So I was working on my third book project, and it was actually the Virgin of Guadalupe. I had about 2 years of research, and I just wasn't finding a new angle. As you can imagine, there's been a lot written about the Virgin of Guadalupe by both Mexicans and foreign scholars as well. And so in this context of kind of research malaise with Virgin Guadalupe, in March 2009, I see the news that the Mexican army had been sent to the border with Texas and California to destroy some 40 Santa Muerte shrines and altars. And I knew who Santa Muerte was from all my time in Mexico, but I had no idea why the army had gone in and done that. And I did a quick Google search and discovered that the then administration of Mexican President Felipe Calderon had fingered Santa Muerte as spiritual enemy number one of the Mexican state in their fight against the drug cartels, basically seeing her as a narco saint, doing the spiritual bidding of various cartels in Mexico. I'm like, whoa, this is fascinating. I did a quick Google search. In English, there was like next to nothing, no literature. In Spanish, it was rail thin as well. So I took a couple weeks, consulted colleagues, friends, family members, and decided, okay, I'm going to temporarily or maybe permanently turn my back on Virgin Guadalupe and delve into this Mexican death saint with the goal of publishing the first book in English, which I did. The first edition of Devoted to Death came out in 2012. So yeah, it was basically the news of the Mexican army raising 40 of her shrines and the whole kind of narco saint association, which ironically, I work really hard in my book to try to say, yes, that's one of her roles, but she has so many different hats that she wears.
It's super interesting to me also in the sense that I don't know what the exact timeline is for Santa Muerte, but probably I would say less than 10 years ago, probably more than 5, though, somewhere between 7 years ago. Like I started seeing at local metaphysical shops and stuff, like candles starting to show up.
You're in Detroit, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we have Mexican Town here, which has a pretty big community. And that's where I was starting to see it. But it was probably less than 10 years ago. Is like what is the, I guess, age range on Santa Muerte practices right
That's
now?
just about right. You were kind of at the cutting edge of seeing it kind of commercially, at least in the United States. Santa Muerte goes public in 2001. She's developed, she emerges during the Spanish colonial period. She's first mentioned in the records of the Spanish Inquisition in the 1790s. They discover some indigenous people called the Chichimec indigenous people in central Mexico worshiping a skeletal saint who they call Santa Muerte. And after the 1790s, she goes off the Mexican historical grid to reappear again in the 1940s when American anthropologists start to find her in various parts of Mexico. And then from the 40s to the 1980s, what the anthropologists see is Santa Muerte exclusively is a figure being petitioned by women, often dressed in black, for love magic. More specifically, asking Santa Muerte to bring back badly behaving boyfriends or husbands with a threat if they don't quit their lover, real or imagined lover, that they'll be whacked with Santa Muerte's scythe. And indeed, the oldest known prayer to Santa Muerte is exactly this type of petition or prayer to Santa Muerte, asking her to bring back the straying husband or boyfriend, humbled at the aggrieved girlfriend's or wife's knees, and if he doesn't, to whack him with a scythe. So her origins are actually in love magic, and indeed, still today, her number one selling votive candle, she has different colored votive candles, is the red candle of love, passion, and lust.
Wow.
But she really only goes public in 2001 in the rough and tumble barrio of Tepito in Mexico City. So she's only really been public for 2 decades. In fact, I love to tell this. My entire family in the state of Michoacan only learns who Santa Muerte is through my research, their gringo son-in-law's research when I started in 2009. So 99% of Mexicans had not even heard of Santa Muerte prior to 2001.
Wow.
So sometimes when I see the stuff about she's part of our cultural heritage in Mexico, no, she really isn't, because 99% of Mexicans had never even heard of her.
Well, do you think that's kind of like that kind of wanting to reposition Santa Muerte as like older culturally? Do you think that's more kind of like a Margaret Murray with witchcraft? Like, I don't know if you're familiar with her book on witchcraft, but she said like there was this hidden underground witchcraft and pagan cults thriving throughout Europe. They were just so hidden no one could see them, only to be revived in the 1920s.
Yeah, that's going on. And what we really see happening in the last 5 to 8 years is an association by many devotees of Santa Muerte with the Aztec death goddess called Mictecacihuatl. And so a lot of devotees, maybe even more here in the US than in Mexico, will tell you with great certainty that Santa Muerte is actually Mictecacihuatl reincarnated. Even though when I told you she first appears in the Mexican historical record in the 1790s, it's not among the Mexicas or the Aztecs, it's among the Chichimec indigenous people who had, a whole different culture than the Mexicas did. So we don't have any historical evidence of that link. I mean, it is kind of a natural linkage to make, but there's no historical evidence for it.
Yeah, that was what happened with Margaret Murray, right? Like as soon as people started researching, they were like, oh no, these small groups and stories, you're putting them together to create a narrative of this ancient witch cult that's existed in Europe for thousands of years. But what you're really doing is just picking and choosing your facts. When in reality, it's more based on, the naturalist movement coming out of America, creating things like woodcraft and the Boy Scouts, like people trying to reclaim their kind of natural heritage in the 20s and 30s. And then witchcraft like really pops into new paganism and new witchcraft that we see now.
Yeah, sounds like a very similar phenomenon.
You kind of touched on it with the candle colors, but I wanted to get back to, because the reason, if anybody didn't listen to it yet, we had a listener calls episode. Someone on like a job site went up into a barn and there was like 6 or so like 4-foot Santa Muerte statues, like huge ones, and they all have different colors. And I thought it was interesting on the other interview that you went into, like there's different colors Santa Muerte statues and they all mean different things. Do you want to touch on that at all?
Yeah, I mean, the color symbolism is so important that my book is divided into chapters according to the most important colors. So we already talked about red, the top selling votive candle, lust, passion, and love. There's also gold Santa Muerte. And as you might imagine, that's for prosperity and abundance. And there's a whole kind of prosperity theology associated with Santa Muerte, particularly among Mexicans, that really is very similar to the evangelical prosperity gospel that you see preached on all these different TV channels. Because a lot of people, especially the Mexican devotees, are working class. And so, sometimes, the home economy is really strained. And so they're looking for miracles of wealth and abundance, right? Another color would be the purple candle for healing. And when I first started my research, I had no idea that she's a powerful curandera or healer of all kinds of illness. I mean, who would imagine that this death saint heals, right? I mean, you imagine death putting people 6 feet under, not healing them. But so many people who go to her famous shrine in Tepito, Mexico City, are there either asking for healing of illness or giving thanks for a miracle of healing that they believe took place. So that was one of the most fascinating research discoveries I had, is that faith healing has been a major kind of connecting thread of my almost 30 years of research. But I had no idea that Santa Muerte is a powerful healer as well. So I have a whole chapter of her as a curandera. And then there's the black candle. And the black candle is one of the waxes that you'll see least publicly because of the negative associations, of course, with it. And the black candle is used for protection of enemies coming against you with curses and hexes and witchcraft and such. But since she is an amoral folk saint, it also can be used to hex others and for acts of harm and injury, spiritual harm and injury against others as well. So it's kind of both defensive and offensive as well. There's a yellow candle, which is specifically for healing of addiction and for drug addiction, alcohol addiction. And for we Americans with our fentanyl crisis and ongoing opioid crisis and everything, and part of our declining life expectancy is due to all of our drug addiction problems too. So this yellow candle, I think, might be apt for many American devotees in particular. So, and then my conclusion is the 7-colored candle, or the 7-power candle, that has the 7 colors of the rainbow, and lately is becoming kind of the LGBTQ Santa Muerte candle, but it wasn't originally conceived as that. It was actually borrowed from Santeria, the 7 African powers of Santeria. But as you can imagine, some of us folks don't need only one miracle. We need miracles on several fronts. So if you need a miracle of health, wealth, and love, you might want to go for the 7-colored candle.
I think it's interesting when you were talking about how you were fascinated that there was this kind of healing process with Santa Muerte, because, obviously figured as like a Grim Reaper-esque figure. And I've always found that interesting cross-culturally and around the world, that the psychopomps who help you into the spirit world or move between the spirit world and our world they always end up being feared, when the reality is like, even if you're sick, right? Like, they're there to help you transition into the next world if they can't heal you.
Right. Like spiritual death doulas.
Yeah, exactly. For sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I remember in that thing you called her a Grim Reaperess too, or a supernatural figure. I loved that term. I never heard that before, like Grim Reaperess. I'm like,
yeah, I actually coined that. I mean, and she is a female, right? And it actually has historical precedent, because in Mediterranean Catholic Europe, such as Italy, Spain, and Portugal, more often than not, it really was a female Grim Reaper or Grim Reaperess. In fact, the name for her in Spanish is La Parca. Literally means the parched one, right? Because if you're a skeleton, you're thirsty, you're parched all the time, right? So yeah, in Mediterranean Catholic Europe, more often than not, it was a female personification of death anyway. And so we see that historical continuity with Santa Muerte being female here. And I should add, many of your listeners probably don't know this, but Santa Muerte is actually only one of 3 skeletal death saints in Latin America. 2 others, and they're both male death saints. One is in Argentina, and his name is San La Muerte. And the other one is Guatemala. His name is Rey Pascual, or King Pascual. And so there's actually a trio, a holy trinity, a bony trinity of the 3. But Santa Muerte is the only female one, and she's by far the most popular. The other ones are kind of marginal compared to the popularity of Santa Muerte.
Is that almost like the grouping of them? Is that like a group of Loa in like the voodoo?
In
like?
voodoo. No, because there's not really a coherence. It's just kind of they're born kind of the same syncretism, but they're not really connected in any way. I mean, increasingly, particularly Argentine Santa Muerte and Mexican Santa Muerte are, because of social media, because of Instagram, because of Facebook, where devotees from Mexico and Argentina will share stuff. But historically, even though they are birthed from the same processes, they really weren't connected like the Loa are part of
like the
umbrella.
there's this like Gedi, I think it's called, which is like the family of saints.
Gedi, right.
Holy smokes. This is like a ton of
info.
I'm
also,
I'm like making notes over here. Like,
I know. That's how I was when I watched that other interview and that girl was such an asshole. I'm like, how could you not at the very least? I'm like, how could you not find this interesting? And then listen, you guys, after he's like so knowledgeable and nice the whole time, his interview cuts off, and then she cuts to this part where she asks all of her followers to pray for the cultists who are into this shit. I was like, she has so much nerve. I did not like her. I don't like her.
As an academic, you have to have really thick skin. So, I don't know. I'm kind of battle toughened, I think, at this point after 30 years in the trenches. So, yeah, that kind of stuff. And she wasn't attacking me personally either. I mean,
you're right.
She was respectful to me, at least. Maybe not to devotees, but she was to me. Let me also say, if you want to take any viewer questions, I'm happy to do that as well. Whatever you want to do.
Sure. Anybody got anything? I saw some going by.
I'm looking here.
Just ask them again if you can.
Yeah, I'm trying to find them as well. You're a co-host now, Jess.
I know. I'm doing it.
Does Santa Muerte show up anywhere in pop culture, movies, etc.? Yeah, increasingly she's kind of omnipresent on the small and big screens. Maybe most famously in Breaking Bad. We also saw Breaking Bad. I think at the start of season 3, you've got 2 Mexican narcos, assassins, cartel assassins, sicarios, who are crawling on their belly to a Santa Muerte shrine. And that opens season 3. I actually was hired as a consultant to do the Santa Muerte altar for Bad Boys 2 with Will Smith. Oh my God,
that's so sick.
Yeah, they ended up pretty much ignoring all my advice, but at least I got a payday out of it, right? What else?
That's pretty popular. I did a television show about ghost once, and someone had allegedly seen like a goat man in the building. And so the network wanted me to download like all this information on like half human, half men spirits and
are you talking about Chupacabra?
Well, no, it was just they just wanted like everything from like Bahamut to like anything that was a goat and a human. And so I gave them this like 5 minutes of super insightful like mythological processes of half men, half animals, even going into some Egyptian stuff. And when it aired, it was literally one sentence of me saying, but goat men are usually demons.
So yeah, I mean, there's lots of fiction. It seems like every month there's a new novel that comes out with Santa Muerte having a major role, if not the protagonist. In a couple episodes of Dexter, Santa Muerte appears, but I think they got it wrong. They had it with Venezuelans when, of course, she's Mexican, not Venezuelan. There was that whole series Penny Dreadful, which was actually dreadful, very dreadful, in which Santa Muerte appears more like a Spanish advocation of the Virgin Mary than actual Santa Muerte. So yeah, increasingly there's a lot of Santa Muerte, small screen, big screen, and novels as well.
Do you think that it's still new enough to where it's just everybody's getting it wrong in movies, and in a few years, like you'll start to actually see positive portrayals of it in films and TV?
I would hope so, right? Because so much of it has been Santa Muerte is the narco saint, right? And that's what like 90% of media portrayals have been so far. I'd like to think that I've helped to correct that in the last maybe 10 years or so since my book has come out. But still, yeah, there's just so much, selling her as the narco saint, and now she's being marshaled for Trump 2024 as well, right? Because scare everybody with Mexican and Central American migrants coming up.
What is
someone's asking about you don't know what umancy is?
No, I don't know what that means.
It's it's using an egg for divination.
Oh, right.
Why would that be?
Right. Interesting. I haven't come across that, but I'm sure there are some folk Mexican curanderos who do that because egg cleansings are such an important part of folk healing rituals in Mexico. So I'm sure that happens, but I haven't seen it referenced or I haven't seen it myself, but I'm sure that does go down.
I just got a text from somebody that said your current guest is freaking amazing. So, you know,
it's because I'm live from Brazil.
Andrew, did you think when you started this that people would call you freaking amazing?
Yeah, I mean, it's been so cool because this research has taken me way beyond the confines of the ivory tower. And right, I mean, like right now, this chat that we're doing, I mean, this isn't, academics don't usually do these kinds of formats and venues and everything. So it's been great to be able to connect with all different kinds of cultural sectors that you normally don't as an academic. So yeah, I never imagined this. So yeah, it's been a great ride, 13 years ride so far.
Yeah, Jess and I talk about this all the time because what you were saying about academics, like I started off my career because my specialty is, anything weird, ghosts, UFOs, Bigfoot, right, stuff like that. But I spent the first part of my career speaking at libraries and at colleges because academics won't speak on that topic at those places, right? Because it's going to hurt their career. And so I was doing the opposite of what you were doing. Like you were probably speaking at libraries and colleges as an academic. And now like, I love that we're like switching place. I like that people realize their groups can be larger if you just look for them.
Exactly.
I was going to ask that too. Are you ever going to do you want to do paranormal conventions or would you ever do anything like that or paranormal events? Or I feel like this would
yeah, of course. Sure. I'm open to that. Yeah. I'm completely open and eclectic and yeah. Invitations come my way, especially since the pandemic. Academic university invitations have dried up because everything's gone on Zoom. Right. And they figure, okay, well, we'll just have you on Zoom and we don't have to pay you for it. So
you don't have to answer this, but was your upbringing with any religion?
Oh, right. You're going to get personal. Yeah.
You don't have to answer it.
Well, yeah. So part of the reason I'm here is because I grew up as a preacher's kid. My father is a retired Presbyterian minister, but he also has a PhD in religion. And so and he started out as an academic for 5 or 6 years, found that really wasn't his niche, and then transitioned to becoming a pastor. So yeah, I grew up as a preacher's kid, but wasn't really a believer. And my dad was really, really cool with that. And to this date, my 85-year-old dad and I have a great relationship. In fact, he came up with the awesome title "Devoted to Death" after he said, Andrew, how do you really think you get an entire book out of that skeleton? but it's a really euphonious title. I love the title. So yeah, I grew up in the church. I grew up with that religious influence, but also, from an academic standpoint. So that's a good part of why I'm here today.
And do you? Go ahead, Jess.
I was gonna pertaining to the question on the screen. Have you had any like paranormal experiences or anything that you can't explain? Anything like that?
I like you considering if you want to tell your weird story.
Yeah, I don't know. Once it seemed like maybe I felt the presence of my recently deceased grandmother.
Oh wow!
Maybe like 25 years ago, and seemed to take some kind of luminous form in my bedroom at the time. I don't know how to explain that, but maybe that's the only thing in my 50 odd years. And
Yeah, I think that
I wouldn't describe myself as an atheist. Maybe agnostic is probably best. So I'm open to the supernatural, but maybe
I say at my lectures all the time, Andrew, like the world is filled with people who are constantly telling you like that they see UFOs and they see ghosts all the time and and that's fine. That's their journey. That's their story. But like sometimes the universe presents you with one thing, like, and that's what you get. And that should be good enough for you if it's something you still think about. I mean, I used to do a podcast where I told my 13 weirdest stories and people were like, we want more of those. And I said, well, those are the only ones that have happened to me. Like if I was making it up, I could make
right.
I could
gotta go over to Chat GPT for that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
But like 13 stories out of 31 years, I think is a pretty good track record.
We've talked about this before too, because when me and you do interviews, they're like, "Oh, have you seen any ghosts?" And we bring up like 6 times where we saw like full fucking body ghosts, and it's like, what more do you want? Most people never see one. We've had a lot of experiences. Wow. I was going to bring up too, I saw you tweet today that you've been called to like juries before to like speak for people who are being
as an expert witness, right? Yeah. So as you know, Santa Muerte has become increasingly and so rapidly popular in the United States. Increasingly, there are court cases that involve Santa Muerte, various aspects of Santa Muerte devotees. So I've done several cases related to Santa Muerte, and I'm also do cases for Central Americans in particular who say that they're being persecuted on the basis of religion and are seeking asylum in the United States. In fact, that's the current one that I just accepted. I can't, it's pending, so I can't go into any details. But yeah, because my first book, and part of the reason I'm here in Brazil, my first book was on the astronomical growth of Pentecostalism here in Brazil. Today, Brazil has the largest Pentecostal population on Earth. And so, yeah, I kind of cut my teeth on that. So I still get, called to do stuff on evangelicals and Pentecostals as well, who of course see Santa Muerte as satanic, as my interview host we were talking about did last month.
Well, I was just, when you said that, I thought to myself, and I know it's not about Santa Muerte, but like, why is there such a rise in Pentecostalism there?
That's for a whole nother show, right?
Just the short of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the crux of the argument of my book is faith healing. That I found that so many Brazilian Catholics had converted to Pentecostalism at a time of a health crisis that they weren't able to resolve with the Catholic saints, and they often were too poor to be able to access the medical system, the sometimes deficient medical system here in Brazil. And Pentecostalism has always been really strong about accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior, be baptized by the Holy Spirit, and you'll be healed of all your earthly afflictions. And so that emphasis on faith healing, I think, has been kind of the driving motor of the Pentecostal boom. Also, lately, the whole prosperity thing, if you give 10% to your church, then you're going to get 30% back in benefits and everything. That's also big as well. And, just like, Trump's constituency is disproportionately white evangelicals, the Pentecostals down here were great supporters of former President Bolsonaro, whose supporters recently tried to do a January 6th. Was it 6 or 12 in the U.S.?
6.
Yeah, their own version of January 6th recently here in Brasilia. So yeah.
I was gonna go ahead,
Jess. How long are you staying there?
Here in the city of Salvador, I leave Monday for Rio, and then like 9 days in Rio, and then from Rio to Mexico, 2 weeks in Mexico, mostly hanging out with wife's family in Michoacan. So I'll be back in the States in a month.
So jealous.
I have two things that I wanted to ask. One was because you mentioned the prosperity gospel. Like, I find it, as someone who grew up without any religion, I find it interesting that, like, okay, I don't mean this in the way that it's going to say it, but it's just how it's in my brain. It's like someone figured out a grift, right? And like, we can get money from people by using the Bible as prosperity to make them think they're going to get money. Like, and I see it moving through different countries now.
Yeah, I mean, there's a strong element of grift to that, and a great way for millionaire, multimillionaire preachers to justify their wealth and status, right? I mean, because under prosperity theology, if you are blessed, then you're going to have riches. And maybe if you don't have riches, it's because you're not praying hard enough, or because you're sinning, or whatever. So it's a great justification of the mega wealth of all these televangelists and, charismatic church leaders, right?
Yeah.
But on the other hand, let me say it's not all grift either. For folks who tithe or give 10% to a church in which they really believe turn their lives around, like men who were alcoholics. I mean, often here in Brazil, these churches are more important sources of helping men find sobriety than Alcoholics Anonymous. So if you really believe that you're able to turn your life around in a positive way because of the church, then tithing, is an important way of kind of showing your gratitude as well. So it's not all and only exploitation, but yeah, there's a strong current of that, no doubt. In fact, there's a joke here. There's a church here, the Universal Church of the Kingdom of God, known to be especially bad at grifting. And the joke in Brazil is that they recently invented, traditionally the tithe is 10%. They jacked it up to 30%, saying we need 10% for the Son, 10% for the Father, and another 10% for the Holy Spirit.
Right,
the Holy
right.
Trinity.
Yeah, I didn't mean to imply that it was all a grift.
I know you did.
I did end up going to a church when I was starting around the age of 19. I had a heart attack when I was 18, and during part of my recovery process was finding a church that I was into, and like you said, that church was instrumental. Like, when you tithed, we had so many groups for addiction recovery and people who were in terrible relationships, and our tithes funded all of that and really did help to change people's lives.
Yeah.
My second thing that I wanted to ask, because you brought up Bolsonaro, has Santa Muerte practiced how is it under Lula?
How is what under Lula?
Like the acceptance or non-acceptance, has it changed?
Santa Muerte?
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. Santa Muerte has only a small presence here in Brazil. I'm not doing research on Santa Muerte here.
Okay.
There definitely are devotees, and a growing number of them. In fact, I curate the largest Facebook group called Devoted to Death for Santa Muerte, for English-speaking Santa Muerte groups, and several Brazilians are there. I know Brazilian devotees on Twitter. But yeah, here the big alternative to Catholicism and Pentecostal churches are the Afro-Brazilian religions. In fact, where I am right now, Salvador, Bahia, is the cradle of the Afro-Brazilian religion of Candomblé. And the other big one is called Umbanda. And so I think because the important presence of the Afro-Brazilian religions, perhaps Santa Muerte doesn't have the same cultural space as she might in other countries. But she is growing, definitely.
Right. I love how, when you just said that, and I was thinking about our earlier topics, like her being a saint for people who don't have a saint, and the way that you just said that made me think all these people who don't have anyone, and she doesn't have space, but she's growing. I feel like that's how we are as a society too. These people who for so long didn't have space, and now we're growing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think she has a real appeal. And for a lot of people, she's seen as a really important maternal figure. I see American devotees calling her mommy and mama and mom all the time. Which when I first started seeing that, I'm like, wow, because Mexicans don't call her the equivalent of mama or mamita, but American devotees have kind of latched onto that. And I think particularly in the United States, where we often see kind of a disintegration of the family unit and stuff, I think she's kind of helped kind of bring together families of devotees. And especially, you know, in these social media groups as well. I mean, social media people trash it all the time, but it's also really powerful places for community as well, for people who might not have that physical community wherever they live.
Oh, I have another guest to bring in.
Our another guest is here. A very cute person.
Hi.
Hi, Roz.
How
Hey,
are
Roz.
you?
Hi. We're getting schooled over here.
No.
I just
And-
entered. Oh, hi, Dr. Andrew Chestnut.
We're learning all the things about Santa's birthday
Hello,
right now.
Roz.
And he's in Brazil right now.
Oh my God.
I
Aqui no
know.
Brasil.
Just took us all to class on Santa Muerte.
Or,
I
wait.
love that. Well, you're not going to learn anything from me.
I mean, that's not true. That's not true. Oh my God.
I actually need to check out. It's an hour later here, and I've got something else going on. But it has been fascinating, and I always appreciate smart questions, and it's just been great. And I'm really grateful for you having me on as
Well,
well.
we're really grateful having you. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this, Andrew.
My
Love
pleasure.
it.
My pleasure. Take it away, Roz. Nice meeting you. As
Be
fleeting
safe.
as it was.
Bye,
See you later.
Doctor.
Bye.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Who was that?
Listen,
The floor-
here's the backstory. We do on our podcast, we have like a listener calls episodes now. So this guy called in, he's like a construction worker or something. So he was working on this house in Texas. They were like, go out to the garage and do this. So he goes up in like the loft area of the garage, and there's like 6 4-foot skeleton fucking Grim Reaper statues. And he's like, what the fuck is this? And he thought it was evil, but it wasn't. They were Santa Muerte statues. So then our Twitter homie, Dr. Andrew, called into our line and was like, they're not evil. I'll tell you guys all about it. So we're like, come on our show and tell us all about it. And now all of us are like, brains are exploding.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Amazing.
I know. Everybody.
Where was this? Where did that happen?
The statues or
It was in Texas. The statues were
In Texas. Okay.
yes, somewhere in everybody knows where you're from. Ghosted.
Hey.
Hi.
Yeah, see, I've got a lot of Dia de los Muertos skulls and stuff, and I think sometimes people do think like, "Oh my God, so creepy." I'm like, no, those are my relatives.
No.
That's my granny you're talking about.
I'm gonna.
How was it?
Well, let me give people a bio first.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
This is Roz Hernandez. She hosts a podcast called Ghosted. You call yourself like not so much an expert, or not an expert in your podcast notes, but like I feel like you would be at this point, right? You've been doing it for so long. I feel like you're like
You're like, you should have learned more by
hardly
now.
an expert. I know, but
I don't think anyone's an expert.
I know you're right.
I think there's some people that know a lot. Like, I think you could definitely know a lot about a lot of the stuff and a lot of theories and a lot of history and a lot of like all of that kind of stuff, which I know. I definitely know about that stuff, but I don't know what any of it is. I think, and that's like the biggest thing when I talk to people that aren't familiar with like this conversation about the paranormal. I think a lot of times they think like expert means I have all the answers And it's like, I definitely don't. Some
don't
people think they
either.
do. But that's the fun of it for me.
I think that's what I like about Ghosted is like it's just fun people talking about a fun topic.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah, no agenda. We're just like all pondering. And honestly, I think that talking to people that maybe don't think about it that often or don't know a bunch about it, sometimes like that's I learn the most from those people sometimes. And
Mm-hmm.
I kind of look at the whole thing like just like a big survey of like what do people believe. And from all that, it's kind of how you can draw your own conclusions or get ideas.
did you how long has Ghosted been on?
Well, currently it's on a hiatus, but I started it 4 years ago.
Nice. I was gonna ask you too if there was any reason that you dropped like your name or your other, like you used to go by Roz Hernandez and then you changed it. I like both, obviously, but I was wondering if there was any reason.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of reasons, but so Hernandez is my real last name, and Roz Hernandez, believe it or not, is not a real last name. It's not. But that was my drag queen name, and I was a drag queen like 5 to 7 days a week, and it was just like my whole identity. And then I started transitioning, and then just kind of like stopped doing drag, and I was like, yeah, maybe I should like go back to having a real last name.
I
Because
don't know if you
also,
have this too, where like, okay, on my brow account, my tattoo account, I found it easier when I started to go under Magic Brows because it wasn't my name. I'm like, I need like a weird name that's not my name because I'm like not confident enough to go by my own name yet. So maybe did you have that where you like built up and you're like, yeah, the fuck I do want to use my real name now because
yeah, and I think drag was all of that. Like every
Mhm.
single element, it was like, oh, if I wear fake long hair when I had short hair, like I was doing like all this stuff. It was all an exploration, and it was like a buffer to get more comfortable with my
Yeah.
gender and performing in front of people and whatever. So then, as time went on, because I mean, like Roz is not the name I was born with, but then I started being like, okay, I really connect with people calling me Roz and calling me she and all of that. So I kind of kept the things that worked for me and then got rid of the things that were just sort of that buffer in in the middle.
Totes.
Yeah.
I think names are so interesting because so like even around here for like 10 years my nickname was Trout. No one knew my name was John. Like I was only known as Trout. And what I found so interesting was probably when I was 20 I started using my full name John E.L. Tenney and like realizing how different those two people were. Like it was really strange. Like it was actually pretty magical to like all of a sudden discover that this person that I had been Trout, like this punk rock guy who sang in punk rock bands and had this kind of, I don't know, I had built up such a weird persona outside of myself that getting back to me took a long time. I didn't probably become Johnny L. Tenney, even though I started using my real name when I was 20. I probably didn't figure it out until I was 30.
Yeah. When people use like my dead name, I'm like, you don't know me. Like, I think if someone like said that they're like, oh yeah, I know that person. It's like, no, it's been so many years that since I've gone by that name that like I don't think you can technically consider me someone that you know anymore. I'm so different.
Yeah.
But I have like a major, like I got sober 8 years ago, and that's when I started going by Roz, and it was like my whole life is like 2 parts so far, like the before times and like the rest of my life now.
I love that.
Yeah. Look at my babies.
Let's show us
I'm
everything.
in my kitchen.
Oh, wait, did you make that?
Yeah, I mean, it's real simple. Anyone could do it. You buy a
I know, I
canvas.
love it though.
Here's what you do. You go to Joann's, you buy a canvas. If you have a coupon, it helps. And then you buy some fake fur and then some little doll heads
I love it.
from eBay, and then you glue them on.
I love it. It's very.
And then you plop it in your kitchen.
It's more happy than creepy too. It's
Well,
a vibe.
you know what's funny is that I wanted to see what I looked like in this lighting. So right before I hopped on, I put on like my regular phone's camera, front facing or whatever, and like the squares to like match my face. There was like a bunch of them in the back of the little doll faces. Like it was registering all the little babies.
I love it.
I think your lighting is great. I bought
Yeah.
Jessica lights specifically for these events. Where are the lights I bought you, Jessica?
I don't have them on.
You guys both look great.
Oh my god, thank you. Aw,
I'm just like, I just woke up from a nap. I'm not gonna lie.
that's fine. I would be napping too if I didn't have to do this damn show. But
Damn.
but no, I was gonna say too, you're a stand-up comedian. How do you do that? Do you get nervous? Is it the craziest? Have you ever had a famous person in your audience? What happens there?
Wait, before you answer that, Roz, Jessica has to do her very first on-stage performance in August.
Not my first.
All by yourself on stage?
Okay, fine. But
Yes.
I've done other ones. I'm not even nervous. I'm not nervous. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna steal the whole convention.
Scary. I'm just kidding.
No,
She's going to be standing in front of 1,500 people on
I'm not
stage by
nervous.
herself.
it's gonna be the best. So
And so, are you presenting something? Like, do you have?
I can
Can
do
you-
whatever I want, and I already have a plan, and it's gonna be amazing. So nobody worry about it.
That's good. You know, I think that people get scared because I definitely have stage fright, but for me, a lot of it is because I have like this in my head. I think that things are all supposed to go a certain way. And I think that if you get too attached to that, that's when you're only going to let yourself down. And if something goes wrong, then you just blew it for yourself. And then you start to panic in front of everyone. So, like, to me, I think it's good to prepare and know A, B, C, D, where you're going to go. But then everything else is just like be present. And I always say it's a gift when something goes wrong. Like, I love it. If something goes wrong, like, that's like the best moments. I don't know.
Yeah.
When I remember all of that, I'm like, oh yeah, this isn't scary. It's like, it's totally fun.
Yeah.
But okay, wait. So that was one question. What was one of the other
Yeah.
ones you
Wait.
said?
What
Oh,
are other
famous people in the
yeah.
audience. Yeah, I live in LA. There's always famous people in the audience.
Tell me everything. We live in Michigan.
Jessica
where I'm
also.
from.
Let me
What?
just.
From Grand
We're in
Rapids.
Michigan. We're boring.
You're from Grand Rapids?
You are?
Yes, I'm from Grand Rapids.
I didn't
I
know
moved-
that.
Yeah, I moved in 2008, but I grew
Michigan
up
has
there.
all the coolest people.
It really does. They're all from here.
Yeah, there's some cool people there.
Jessica
Um,
just
Let
got
her
into.
answer. She didn't say
I'm
anything.
going to. I just want to also like preface this. Jessica has just this year, probably in the past 5 months,
Oh no.
started to enjoy comedy.
Stop. Listen, I have a problem. I don't watch anything that's comedy. I don't like forced comedy. I think it's so fucking awkward. I know what's funny to myself and to other people, but like to watch a scripted comedy is so cringy to me. But I saw Renfield, and Renfield had Ben Schwartz in it, and then I went down a rabbit hole of fucking being obsessed with Ben Schwartz, and now I like some improv and comedy. And
Good.
I bought Ben Schwartz tickets for Chicago, and I'm gonna go.
Oh my god.
Who's Ben Schwartz? I'm not good with this.
He's John Ralphio on Community. Is that Community?
He was on
Parks
is it
and Rec.
Parks and Rec. Yeah.
Yeah. He's in a
But
lot of
he's-
stuff. You would.
He's just a
but I
stand-up.
feel
Just
like
never
that's the
liked
best place in
stand-up.
My life.
I have to take a pee. This is my first pee break.
Okay, well, I gotta go too, but I'll go later. But Ross can just tell me
Well,
about.
then I'm gonna go too.
Listen, I also don't even know if I said out loud yet. Roz is the host of a podcast called Ghosted. I don't know if I said Ghosted out loud yet, so I'm saying it again.
Oh, thank you.
To Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, and subscribe to Ghosted. You have a bunch of guests on. Okay, well, first, say who is somebody cool that was ever in one of your audiences, and then 2, say who was like maybe your favorite guest that you ever had on your podcast.
Okay. I feel like I could answer both of those with the same person.
Oh, I love that.
Cassandra Peterson, aka Elvira, Mistress
Oh,
of the Dark.
stop. Do you know her?
I would never say I know her. I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but I definitely have met her.
Oh my God. I have not met her yet.
She's awesome. She's like definitely one of my heroes. I still constantly think when she had this auction, like maybe, I don't even know, a year or 2 years ago, something of like all of her greatest things. And I wanted to bid, I did bid, I got outbid on some of her original like concept drawings of the Elvira character. And anytime I think about her, I think about that, and I'm really mad about it. And I should have just blown all my money on it.
Oh my God.
But anyways, I've met from her being in the audience of shows that I've been in, and she's like just a really great supportive audience member. And then I invited her to come on the podcast, and she has like the best story ever, and that was pretty crazy for me.
So
all
jealous.
of that.
I only met her once at a convention, and she was very sweet.
Okay, I'm the only one who hasn't met her yet.
Sweet. She's awesome. She's been in the audience a few times of a couple of different things I've done, and it always like intimidates me so much, but she's super nice and just great.
I like what you were saying before about, because I think Jess and I have talked about this before about like being nervous and making mistakes, like especially when public speaking or being on stage or doing anything like that. I have been lecturing for 30 years and I always am still nervous right before I start speaking. Like, I think it's beautiful. I think that's like, there's a part of me that is still nervous to do what I know I'm good at doing. And then when
Dog's barking, sorry.
Sorry, and I thought it was Toad. I thought it was Jess's dog.
Not this time.
But the other thing is too, like, I do love too when I mess up, because it gives me this time to like either acknowledge it and turn it into a new thing, and it's like super organic in the moment, or there's that part of me too that I used to skip over it and hope that nobody noticed it, but I find it better to call it out and make fun of myself when I do it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. The worst thing is when people feel like what they're watching is someone that's like really self-conscious and nervous and uncomfortable and oh shit, I just messed up. Like people want to just like, they're rooting for you and they want you to do a good job. And also people say like, if you're nervous, that means you care or something like that. Or like you should be scared if you're not nervous, because I don't know. I'm always nervous. I'm terrified right now.
Do you like, but do you get into a flow where you're like, oh, I know what I'm doing now?
Yeah, it's so important for me that I do stand up multiple times a week. And if I take off 1 week, I'm just like, I can't do it. Like I get so nervous, and I do find that I have to constantly be doing things that are like in front of audiences or challenging or scary or whatever. Like I just have to constantly do them, because when I don't, it just, I'll want to keep that off period longer and longer and longer, and it'll just get worse and worse when I finally do it. So, yeah.
By the way, I'm really bad at stand-up, but the way that I would ground myself before I would do lectures, if I had a lecture on like a Friday night, I would find an open mic somewhere on Thursday, and I would go up for like 5 or 6 minutes because I knew I was going to bomb, and that would like humble me out for when I did a lecture where I knew what I was talking about.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes any sense. That was just my process.
No, I can see where that would work. Open mics scare me. But
I know
Jess.
we have another guest in the house.
Ooh.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me?
Hey, Joshua.
Joshua.
Hi,
Meet
Joshua.
Roz.
I'm
Roz hosts a podcast called Ghosted. If you don't listen, you should.
Oh, I will.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Roz.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hey.
I met Josh last weekend at the Haunted Belvoir Winery in Missouri, and we met in the airport. And I would like to say that we became fast friends.
That's very true. Within the first, like, I don't know, 10 minutes,
Yeah.
I was like, Tenney's a good guy. I should befriend him.
Where do you live?
I live in Alabama.
Whoa, cool.
Yeah.
I'm in
so-
LA.
Cool. Yeah. LA terrifies me in every sense of the word. Michigan is more my speed.
Yep.
I get it.
Joshua, you are a famous TikToker. You have 154,000 followers. That's absurd. Congratulations. Congratulations. And you want to tell everybody what you do?
Yeah, sure. So and sorry that my background is like the least interesting of all the backgrounds on this live. It's a plain white wall and a curtain, pretty much.
You have the best microphone, though.
Yeah, you sound the best.
Yeah.
Well, I'll take that. But yeah, so long story short, I do paranormal history and kind of true crime stories, whichever I'm really feeling. It's usually in the paranormal realm, and I have focused a lot in the South in telling Southern urban legends and dispelling a lot of myths and telling the true stories behind a good portion of these urban legends, and honestly just presenting the stories as is, and not really putting any fluff or any extra things, and letting people decide whether or not they want to believe in the paranormal or not. But they get to learn in the process. So
Everybody's
that's
freaking out.
Okay, I have a question for everybody.
Slowly freaking out.
So, I do a lot of this looking into these old documented cases of the 20th century, and there's so many good ones, and a lot of them, if you look into them deeper, it's like a little bit of debunky kind of things, but like, why don't we get as many of those today?
Like those weird stories.
Yeah, like a good old, like, beginning, middle, and end haunted house. The couple moves in and they get kicked out by the ghosts. Or, like, I don't know, just like a good old beginning, middle, and end. We don't get them as much anymore.
I mean, I would guess that it's just how inundated we are with news and info. Like, if you think about, like, in the 1920s, there were probably only 3 national newspapers, and then every town had its own local paper. And so when you were a local paper, you had to tell a story from beginning to end, right? So I think that now there's so much information, there's just no time to like tell a quick, cool little story that has a beginning, middle, and end. Like, immediately everybody jumps on it and tears it apart. The thing I liked so much about Joshua's lecture at Belvoir was talking about how when you look into those old myths and you look into those old stories, it's not that you uncover like the ghost or the weird happening, but you retrieve the actual living people who were involved with the event.
Yeah.
You find out, because you were talking, I mean, that was part of what you were talking about, right, Josh? Like,
Yeah.
or maybe, yeah, like all of a sudden you realize that this person involved in this supernatural event was like this historical person who did all this amazing stuff that people have forgotten about.
Yeah.
Can you say the thing too? You said that people are always too busy and we're up our ass with our phone and blah, 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 and always not noticing shit because we're too busy. And then you said during the pandy that you got more reports of ghost stuff in people's houses because they were actually home. They didn't have shit to do, that whole thing.
Totally.
Yeah. And I was going to say that something along those lines. I think people were less distracted and had to focus more. And also, like, thinking about Alabama, like centering that for a second, more people were spread out. So they kind of had to sit in whatever they had going on. So now when, they have a bump in the night or, something flies around, they're more inclined to tell people, and people are more inclined to say, hey, like, no, tell me that full story as to how you got to this point. And I think that's kind of an answer to your question. Now, like, you have a bump in the night and it's more so like, oh, something happened. Okay. And then
Yeah.
and then you
I
like
just need I need the press to stop caring about the important stuff, like all the horrible things in the news. Because I read these stories all the time from like the 60s, 70s, whatever it is, and it's like, then the word got out to the local news and people started lining up down the street to see the poltergeist or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want that.
Same.
Yeah. A really good example of that one is, not to nerd out too much on ghost stories, but
Nerd out.
the Surtsey hauntings that happened in Surtsey, Georgia. That's pretty much exactly what happened. The family had a bunch of like poltergeist activity they couldn't really explain, and a neighbor came, and then the next day like more people came, and then the next day more people came, to the point where it was becoming a national story about this one house that was having poltergeist activity in like the early 1900s, and people were like coming to do tours and all types of stuff because they wanted to see the activity. So it did happen, I think, and I think that's pretty cool that at some point we might get back to that point, but as more people are getting kind of inclined with the paranormal. But yeah, it did happen. So and like the Surtsey hauntings in the South are pretty popular too.
How do you spell that?
It's Surrency. Yeah, it's a pretty fascinating story.
I want to look into that one
if you have some time.
I might talk about that on my podcast. Thank you. I always need these good, like a good case. What's the overall? What's the most interesting, funky, freaky deaky? I think it's real. What is going on here? Out of everyone, go.
Mine isn't a ghost story. Mine is an unsolved murder, which was in 1929 in Detroit. There was a gentleman named Benny Evangelista, and he was an astrologer and an occultist in the 1920s. And in his basement, he had built, for 5 cents, you could go in his basement, and he had painted the walls black, and he built these 6-foot tall paper mache gods in his basement, and you could go down in the basement with these gods. Well, the paper boy came over one morning and knocked on the door to deliver the paper. Benny would always open the door. Benny didn't open the door. The newspaper boy went in, and Benny was sitting in his chair, but his head was on his desk. His head had been cut off. And so the newspaper boy went and got a police officer. They came back. Benny was dead, obviously. And then his wife and their 4 kids were also murdered. They were upstairs in bed. And it's Detroit's oldest unsolved mystery. And that just utterly fascinates me. And like you were saying, Josh, like, I have a picture of the day that it happened, and there are 300 people in the street surrounding this house. And then like, a week later when there was a funeral, there were like 5,000 people showed up for the funeral, and it just never got solved. But it's the more I dug into it, the freakier it got, because like he had moved to Detroit because during the 1910s and 20s in Pennsylvania where he lived, there were actual like American witch wars, where like the practicing witches in Pennsylvania were killing each other over their magical spell books. And it's one of the reasons that Benny moved here.
What was the picture with the giant paper mache people? Was that the same thing?
Yeah. That was one of the police officers taking the paper mache gods out of the basement.
Yeah, that's insane. That photo is insane. Crazy.
What's yours, Jess?
Everybody's shook. I don't fucking
tell me more.
The first thing that I thought of was the Baltimore Gypsy Murder House. Have you done anything on that yet on your podcast?
No.
There was a fortune teller lady in Baltimore. It wasn't that long ago. It wasn't like a million years ago. And she had like a longtime client guy. And then one time he just flipped out. And I think he chopped her head off too. And once they finally went in the house, it was like across the room. And then the house sat vacant for a long time. And people were like pillaging the house and stealing like wallpaper off the walls. And I do have a piece of the wallpaper because I'm a creepy bitch. But the building stood for a long time, and now it's not there anymore. But you could look into that story.
I don't talk about murders that much.
I know, it's rough.
But let me bring up. I forgot one thing about. So, I was investigating the Benny Evangelista case, that one I just talked about, and I became friends years later with this guy named Johnny Hauser, who runs the Villisca Axe Murder House, which happened a few years after the Detroit killings. And between Johnny and I, when we started researching, we found like a 15-year span of time when there were all these unsolved axe murders that happened across the United States, and they were always right next to a railroad line. And so Johnny and I have this idea that we've run into America's first like serial killer.
There's a question. Sorry. Came out of nowhere. Anybody?
Roz, who's your dream podcast guest?
You got to have somebody. Or maybe you already had them. Maybe it was all viral. Maybe it's already over. Your life's over.
I've had him twice on my podcast, and he is currently present. But
Awkward.
Awkward.
yeah, I have always wanted Tyler Henry since the beginning.
Nice. Join the club. He said he would do this show too, and he's not here yet. We're trying. He's busy.
Yeah, I've been really. I've worked on that one hard. But let's see. I don't know who else is my dream guest. I want one of these pop divas. Every single pop diva has a ghost story.
Yeah,
I want to hear
ghost shows now. Like, well, who now? Selena? Is it Selena Gomez or the other one that has a ghost show now?
Lovato.
Yeah, no, but the other one isn't it Selena Gomez? Didn't she start a ghost show? Am I crazy?
Kesha.
No, I swear, I think Selena Gomez has a fucking ghost show, like a witchy ghost show. It's like newer. I didn't watch it. I haven't watched it, but somebody tell me. I know Demi has one too.
I'm trying to find information on this, but I cannot confirm. I cannot confirm.
I swear.
It sounds fun. I know she's on that show, Only Murders in the Building. Maybe there's ghosts from the murders that happen in the building.
What am I thinking of?
Josh, do you feel like you're going to branch out beyond the South, or do you want to stay where you're comfortable?
Yeah, I'm already making some plans to get out of the South. I think there's a lot of important stories to tell in the South, but slowly but surely, I'm trying to make my way around the country. I want to hit at least a couple stories every state, but we'll see how that works out. I don't necessarily always have the time to do that, but yeah, that's a really long-winded way to say yeah. I'm probably gonna branch out pretty soon outside of like Alabama and Georgia and Florida. Because there's some fascinating cases, but if I do, I want to pick some states that are loosely covered, like I don't know, Iowa or like North Dakota or something that nobody's like really touching. Because I think that there's some pretty important stories out there too. I have no proof of this, but I guess I'll know when I start looking.
Well, I mean, it's pretty true. Like there are these demographic hits like across the United States of spookiest states, you know what I mean? And they always seem to be either East or West Coast or, sometimes in the South. But I mean, there is a huge portion of the country where it's just like the local legends don't make it out of the state.
Yeah. And like, especially for the South, usually it's just like revolving around Savannah or St. Augustine, Jacksonville, like the really old common cities. But there's so many more stories like on just the small town urban legends that prevail. And those are like kind of the ones I like to pull because they're all often rooted in so much history. Like, railways that aren't functional that served major purposes for transporting people, and buildings that were hotels and things that are long past since like the gold rush brought a lot of people around and created a lot of stories. The Fountain of Youth style healing springs built up a lot of towns that eventually died, essentially. And there's tons of ghost stories that come out of those too. So finding places like those is kind of my interest. So I'm gonna eventually have to go out west and north and south and east and everywhere but where I'm at.
Now,
do you ever look into cryptids? I feel like there's really fun cryptids in the South.
I love cryptids. Cryptids is actually what got me into the paranormal to start out with. Just because the thought of just, I don't know, animals and things that I don't understand. I was locked in as a child. So if I saw something that was Bigfoot or Loch Ness, I was locked in. I was watching the documentary 100% of the time. And I really love like archaeology and treasure hunting too. So I'll probably branch off into that as well.
So who's the best cryptid in the South?
Ooh. I think the best cryptid in the South is the Alabama White Thing, only because it's called the Alabama White Thing. Like, of all the names that they could have picked, they chose.
I'm
Never
about to
heard
write
of-
that one down
never-
too.
never
Wait
heard
a
about
minute.
that.
There's one
Writing
called
it
the
down.
Alabama White Thing.
Yeah, and it's a real thing that like
Hashtag.
hunters put their validity and like credibility on seeing this thing. And it's also cool because it has 3 different versions. So there's like a albino Bigfoot thing going on, and then you have kind of like a weird dog kangaroo white cryptid thing going on, and then you have a hairless like the best, like a skinny naked mole rat is the best way I can describe it, and it's white and it like lurks in caves and stuff. And so it's kind of funny that all of them are called the Alabama White Thing, but there's no like one.
So
I
there's
think it's-
several white things.
yeah.
So excited.
There's also
Hairless kangaroo thing.
well, it's a hairless, hairless, like earless, like skinny, like cave dweller thing, and then you
Yes.
have the kangaroo dog hybrid, and then you have the albino Bigfoot. Yeah, it's a weird one. And I mean,
I
I have
love
some other theories as to what that could possibly be. But I'll stick with the cryptids for now.
I love it.
I love
Oh
it
my
too.
god.
Well,
I love things that have like funny names like that.
Yeah.
Like what's that one place in Kentucky that I talked about on my podcast? It's called something
The booger.
Pusey.
Oh.
Damn it, what is it called? I need to look it up. It has one of the people's last names was Pusey, and I'm sorry, it made me laugh because it sounded like a naughty word.
In Detroit, we had it only ever got called the What's It, like WHATZIT, the What's It. And it was like a 3-foot tall rabbit but it didn't have rabbit ears, but it had a really long snake-like tail. And it would
Ew.
run around in people's backyards and hop over fences. And the police actually caught it one night and took it to the Detroit Zoo to see what it was. But the zoo was closed, so they kind of left it at the zoo for the zookeeper in the morning. And
Whoa.
it was never reported on ever again. Like the zoo said they never got it. The police never followed up on it. But like a police officer caught it. It was in the newspaper. They're like, what's it has been caught.
Weird.
That's wild.
And the police officer said that he thought it was an oversized chinchilla.
Like a really, really big one.
Yeah, like a 3-foot tall chinchilla.
I mean, that's possible. Maybe I think about that sometimes. Like, I have a dog that I adopted, and he doesn't look like any other dogs. Like, he just doesn't look like any dog. And I know I probably should just spend the $100 and get like a 23andMe thing on him. But I'm like, could he be like the runt of the group or something? Like, could he be like a small German Shepherd or something like that? Like, I really don't know, because they suspect he's like a Pomeranian mixed with something, but he like doesn't look like Pomeranians and he doesn't act like Pomeranians. So I don't know. Maybe.
I was going to say, Roz, so last weekend at Belvoir, Josh, that was your first ghost hunt, right?
Yep. First
Yeah.
ever.
So now, Roz, we have to ghost hunt together.
Oh my God, I want to so bad. How do I get involved in this?
No, listen, we're gonna. We're, spoiler alert, secret time. Me and Tenney are coming to LA soon, so please hang out with us.
When?
I'll DM you. It's soon. It's this summer. It's soon. So I hope you're home. You don't have any trips planned for anytime soon, do you?
Not until August.
Okay, we'll talk.
It'll be fine. Josh, how was your first ghost hunting experience?
It was actually awesome. I'm still still buzzing off of that, just the experience alone. But I don't know. I kind of had different expectations going into it, but it was so normal, and I thought, you know, seeing stuff would scare me more than it did.
Because you had some experiences.
Yeah. I mean, we had whispering, we had EVPs, we also had shadow figures just like hanging out. And I thought seeing it and experiencing that would really like just, I don't know, make me not want to do it. But in turn, it actually kind of flipped the switch a little bit. And now I like want to see that stuff. I want to have that activity, because I think it would also suck to be out there for 5 hours in like a dank building.
Yeah.
And you get nothing, and you're just like walking around and hanging out. I didn't get touched or anything, but a couple people did. And you know, it was just really cool. I don't know. It just exceeded my expectations. And plus I was with Aaron Sagers, and he's a professional, so he knows what he's doing, and he knows how to really just spark up activity. And plus, like, the cat balls too, they were rolling around and they lit up on our last part of the investigation for at least 40 minutes, just continuously. There was no stopping.
That's
And
crazy.
I'd never seen anything like that. And I played with the cat balls myself too, so you really had to shake them. You really had to, and like, even if you stomped the ground right beside them, they wouldn't light up. So that was cool. So I got the bug a little bit. I've been bitten.
And I think that you realized, like, when we were talking, like, you were talking about how, like, the way that people have it portrayed in their minds, and like watching people like Aaron and all of us that were at the event, like, investigate with kindness and gentleness and like respect, like how much of a difference that makes, and how much difference it is than the way people see it on TV and in films and stuff.
Yeah, it really makes a difference, because you know, when you see it on TV, and if you're watching, you know, certain people or certain groups, or even like sometimes just like amateur ghost hunters, it always seems so like provocative, like you're trying to get some like negative energy out, and they're just like yelling and screaming and calling everything a demon. And you know, and when you put it in the scope of these could be human people, it changes the way you approach it, because how would you want to talk to a human in your everyday life? Okay, now apply that to ghost hunting. Instead of, you know, how would you feel if somebody called you a demon and you're on the other side as a human, and you're being like, hey man, I'm just chilling, like I'm just trying to figure out what's going on myself, and like now I'm getting yelled at, I'm getting called evil, a worker of Satan. Like, I was just over here just trying to talk to you. But the human approach is, I loved seeing that, because I really do believe in the energy that you give is the energy that you get. And I think that, you know, like, even when people leave, and we kind of talked about this a little bit, Tenney, the next day, some of that energy can just linger sometimes. And, you know, so if you're feeling agitated and you're agitating something and you leave that energy there, well, then the next people who come and investigate are going to be like, oh, wow, something's dark here, something's heavy here. Well, that could have just been the last investigation that took place, where somebody left that intention and left that energy there, and now you're picking up on that, and now that's, you know, becoming an amalgamation of a spirit being and energy. So yeah, so I'm going to stop talking for a second, but it was really cool, and I am very excited to do it again and again and again and again.
Yeah.
So what do you do? Okay, listen, I'm not somebody. I don't walk into these places and go, listen up, bitches. I came here to get rid of some demons. I don't do that. But I've been in some situations where I feel like, oh shit, this person, whatever is here is like being mean. And then I'm like, what do I do now? Because in real life, I would be like, all right, you piece of shit.
Same.
So when we talk about, like, you know, give the energy that you want, whatever, like, what do I do?
I mean, in my situations, right, like, I do look at things, like, the only thing I know is being human, right? So I have to act and react in certain ways. And if I was in a bar and someone was being an asshole, and they were getting up in my face, like, how would I react in that situation? Would I engage them with anger and like negativity, or would I just say like, I'm out and leave, like, and let them burn themselves out? And I'd probably do the same in a situation where the person wasn't visible in front of me. If I went into a place and felt uncomfortable, I would say, listen, I don't feel comfortable here, I'm going to leave. And I would leave, because maybe in that moment something is happening for them. We have difficulty interacting with human beings who sit across from us that we can see, discerning people's motivations and what they're thinking. Like, now we're dealing with, you know, non-corporeal beings in some other realm. I don't feel fit to make judgment on what they're going through. So if I'm uncomfortable, like, I just leave. Or if I feel, but I'm not going to walk into a room, I'm not going to walk into a restaurant and scream like, who here wants to fight me? That's not a it's not a great way to start like my restaurant experience. So I really do. If you feel bad or something negative, like, just acknowledge it, you know, in your mind and out loud, even if you want to, and then just go to a different room. Maybe there's someone else who is in the other room, like, I don't want to be in, you know, a ghost in the other room, like, I don't want to be in that room either, because that person's an asshole.
Right. I think I just have a lot more confidence when they're invisible, that I'm like, I could take you. I'm solid and you're not.
Josh, I don't know why we keep calling you Josh and your name's Joshua. I'm sorry.
You can call me Josh. It's
okay,
fine.
whatever. I just feel like I know you for a long time. We were talking about on the podcast that hasn't dropped yet. It'll probably drop tomorrow or Sunday. We were saying how, firstly, you're like the most positive person ever on Twitter, and it's really nice to read your stuff every day. But two, you were talking about how like Belvoir was the best thing that ever happened to you and changed your life, and you felt so lucky. And like me and Tenney were so touched, because like we've been to so many places, been on so many investigations, and you forget that like how lucky we are to just waltz into these places that nobody gets to go to and do these investigations and experience like ghosts and paranormal activity. And like, you just seeing you, like your post through your eyes, like made me feel so lucky.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I can't say I've always been a positive person. This is like the word of the year, I guess. I've used introspection more than I would have liked to this year, but I have been trying to like introspect and see how like I'm affecting other people with how I am as a person. And yeah, so I'm just trying to just turn my bad days into good days by just trying to see some light in them somehow. Because I will say, like, after I left, I was kind of feeling a little down, because it's just so much energy. You get to meet so many people. And
Paranormal hangover.
Yeah, I was like, wow, like normal life sucks. Normal life sucks. But from there, I just said, you know, like, I'll just try to like really just hone in on how grateful I was. And I really was, because I think I've met some really lifelong friends in a short period of time. And it was just kind of wild to me that some of the places that have been so heavily investigated by people who have way more experience than I do, like I got to experience that, and also be welcomed into the fold with people who also, once again, have way more experience than me, just like making me feel like an equal. That was special, because you don't ever know, like, when you're walking into something new that you're finally embracing, if people are going to accept you into the fold. So yeah, it was awesome to just have that experience. And I still do feel very lucky to have done that. Even if this was the last time that I got to do it, I will cherish that. And it was life-changing, because being from the South and being from the Bible Belt, it's hard to talk about these things very openly and candidly in a way where people are actually willing to listen and even theorize with you. So having that experience with so many different people was life-changing, because I realized there's a real community. You just kind of got to work after it a little bit. And when you find it, you're a part of it. And you can also help bring others into the fold and make them feel the same way too.
For real.
Yeah, before you were on, Josh, when we were talking to Roz, like Roz was saying, just like how there's no experts, and like we're all just talking about weird stuff.
Yeah.
And sometimes that is the most beautiful part. I've said it in my lectures before, like if there's no ghosts, if there's no UFOs, if there's no Bigfoot, if none of it is real, if all it is a mechanism for us to talk to each other and make new friends, like then it's still fucking important. Like it's crazy.
I don't know how to work this. How do we put his socials in a banner? I don't know what I'm doing.
What do you mean?
See, people said, "How can we find Joshua?" And
You go to banners on the other side.
I did, and then it put up something about ourselves. I didn't even mean to.
And then you hit create banner.
I don't see create banner.
Oh wow. You talk, I'll do that.
Guys, I'm gonna leave. You guys are a little too weird for me.
Sorry, no, we're so stupid.
Jessica is gonna contact you about when we're in Los Angeles.
I am gonna. We have to hang out, please.
I sure hope so. There's a lot of fun stuff we could do.
I've never been there once in my life.
Well,
she has never been to California.
I'm a nugget.
I am a really fun tour guide because I know where a lot of weird, obscure places are in this town because that's all I care about.
That's what I need. Like
doing Roz's first.
There's your Instagram. And your podcast is called Ghosted on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts.
It's on hiatus, but it will be back soon. I pinky swear.
Well, they can listen to
Let me show you my books. I got
cute.
Fun. I'm sure you guys probably have some of these.
Show us everything. Oh, cute.
Roz, when you come back from hiatus, can I be on the show?
I want to be on too.
Yeah, I'm gonna find that show and I'm gonna subscribe and I'm gonna follow you like as soon as I'm off of this too. You were a great person to meet.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna follow you too. Okay, well guys, this pizza I'm about to order is not gonna eat itself. So
I have White Castle Impossible sliders.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you guys for having me. Have a great rest of your chat and
thank you.
Talk to you later.
Thanks, Roz.
Bye.
Bye.
Cute.
Very cute.
Starting a podcast.
Josh, I watched a video. Well, go ahead.
I was just responding to Evan. Not yet, but it's coming. I think maybe we'll see.
Perfect.
My question was going to be.
I have to make another drink. You gents talk amongst yourself.
I have to remember what I was going to say now. I know what I was going to say. I was doing a deep dive on you last night just to get new info.
Oh boy.
Things to talk about. Do you still sing?
I do.
Yeah?
Yeah. I haven't made any music in a while. Yeah. But I plan on so long story short, I'm going to quit my actual day job pretty soon. So I can focus on the coffee shop and, like the videos and things. But once I do, that'll free me up on time to actually go back and make music again. So,
yeah, because I didn't realize because we talked about music. I didn't realize that you were a singer.
Yeah, I kept it a little. I was just feeling you out to see, I didn't want to, blast myself or be like, oh yeah, I'm a singer too. I'm kind of nasty with the vocals or whatever. But I normally just keep it to myself because I'm like, I don't know how soon I want to tell people that I do like music, because usually the next thing is hey, sing us a song, and usually I don't have a song ready to go ever.
For sure.
So yeah, so I have tons of music written. I just haven't done anything with it. It's just sitting there collecting.
Wait, we're all J. Who's J and J? John and Joshua, Josh and Jessica. Who are you talking about?
What?
This comment, they're saying just two of the J's and we're all J's. Who the fuck do they mean?
Oh, JJJ?
JJJ, we need another one. We're all going to sing. I was going to bring up too, y'all opened a coffee place.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about it, please.
Yeah. So yeah, we bought a coffee shop on April 21st, and it has kept us extremely busy.
Cute.
It was already functioning as a coffee shop. In full transparency, the owner was kind of checked out, so he was just trying to get rid of it. So he literally sold it as is, which never happens. And the spot that we're in is really cool. It's in like the center of the downtown district, and has tons of history. I already did a deep dive on the history of the actual building. because I thought we had a ghost for a second, but I don't think we do. I think it was just some pipes. We'll see. I haven't done a full investigation, but I probably will now. Yeah, so we've been running that since April 21st. I'm there almost every day.
I love that.
Yeah.
That
Are you
seems
gonna
like
have-
a good vibe in coffee houses. Like, just everybody's just trying to just get boosted and be friendly and.
Yeah.
Are you going to do it? We talked about this. You don't have to do it, but I was wondering, are you going to do a spooky roast?
I am. So when we start back roasting again, so right now we're wholesaling all of our beans because we just don't have the bandwidth right now. But we're probably going to, and it'll probably be like a heavy medium, kind of a darker medium roast, and it'll be, I don't know. I haven't thought of a name yet, but it'll be something spooky. I'm going to start incorporating some more spooky elements and kind of give the area something a little different, you know, some character, because most of the coffee shops around us are just coffee shops that don't really offer anything besides just coffee. So
Right.
I like to add a little personality and some goofiness. It's going to be if I have my way with it, it'd be a very goofy looking coffee shop. My wife, on the other hand, is like, no, there's an aesthetic.
Well, I had a coffee shop designed after Japan in the future, so I know about goofy coffee. Uh-oh, I'm bringing people in.
Guest time.
Hi.
Hi. Surprise.
Hey.
Hi.
Hey,
Hello.
right as you guys come in, I'm going to take my second pee break. Bye.
All right, I will introduce them then. Hello, everybody. This is Nicole and Noel from the Quite Unusual Podcast.
Did you forget the name?
I will read your bio on your podcast. It says, join best friends Nicole and Noel in the haunted attic as they talk about all sorts of things, all sorts of strange and unusual topics, from history's most nefarious cults, local ghost stories, conspiracies, murder mysteries, paranormal activities, urban legends, UFO phenomena, and unexplained events. Nothing is off limits, but everything is unusual. Come get weird with us. I am tipsy, and that was really hard for me to read like regular words, bro.
So I poured a
Yeah.
tiny little, I'm like, just have like a mason
Words.
jar of wine. I've had like 5 of these. So.
I'm drinking Corona right now, so
Ooh.
I don't drink that much anymore, and this is just my second drink, and I'm like, woo, woo.
What I'm learning is I need to
Yeah.
put something on my wall because
Yeah.
I feel really out of place.
Whoa, you look good. We have, okay, so I'm in the haunted attic right now.
Yes.
And also, hi, it's nice to meet you.
Yeah.
hi.
So I'm in the haunted attic right now, which is where we record. And one of our first lives, we're like, we have to like put more things up, right? So we put the tiniest poster of Evil Dead up on the ceiling like 3 years ago.
I actually
Oh,
I got
man.
that at a horror convention when I met Ted Raimi or Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell.
Yeah.
And now it's like a postage stamp.
And
Like,
we put it there and now it has to stay there because it's just kind of awkward.
It's like
It's
Spanish.
very tiny. Very tiny.
We have other good posters, but
Oh, yeah.
it's like this one is like, this is the vibe now, you know?
Josh, I bought Jessica lights.
Why don't you
Because-
talk about it 50 times?
Where are the lights?
God.
Yeah, where are the lights, Jessica?
Listen, Alexa, turn vampire lamp red. See, I can do whatever the fuck I want. I have
That's some
lights
fucking
in
Blade
here,
Runner shit going on.
but Tenney bought me lights, so I'm saving them for my office, which I didn't set up yet. I'm not going to put them in the fucking living room. I'm in my living room right now, so I'm using my regular lights.
Okay, we have the vampire
He
lights.
thinks
so-
I like this is the Godfather, and I fucking rejected his offer of these fucking lights. Like, sorry.
I'm your friend and you hurt my feelings.
No, I love them. I literally love them. I'm gonna use them, but I can't have
I'm gonna
them
make
in every
sad face
room
for the
of my
rest of the-
house.
It's messing
You're
with
gonna
the
come to
phone.
him. and
Tiny,
you're
we have
gonna-
guests. Tiny, we have guests.
Okay.
Yeah,
No,
no
you
judgment
can't.
over
We'll
here.
wait.
We'll argue later. Listen, you guys recently did a series of episodes on Heaven's Gate. How's that working out for you?
So I'm a firm believer that if I had not been a fetus when Heaven's Gate was a thing, I would have joined.
Yes.
They're
I
just,
just still want to join, actually.
yeah.
That's how I feel about serial killers, though. That's why it's so interesting. Because I'm like, if I was just walking, bopping around in the 70s, I'd be like, whoops. Like we would all walk off with them too, because I don't blame anybody for doing
Speak
that.
for yourselves.
It's like the
You
nicest
would walk
cult.
off with Ted Bundy. Yes, you would.
I would have started some kind of weird UFO cult in the 70s.
I would have joined
Yeah,
it.
you would've.
So,
That's true.
I'm a sucker for
nice comments about myself while we're all hanging out.
I love a matching outfit, which cults got, right?
Literally, yes.
I love a UFO moment. I love like the camaraderie. Like basically the whole paranormal community is like a little cult. We just don't wear as many black Nikes.
Yeah.
And honestly, we should start. I think.
Yeah.
I'll show you something right here. My dear friend Emily Hoffman here. There is famous Pike's Market in Seattle.
Yeah.
There's this thing where you all like people can buy tiles and like donate, and the tiles are in the market.
Yeah.
And Heaven's Gate has a tile in the market.
They were just like nice, normal people.
Yeah.
Just trying to have a good time.
Sure.
And then
I'm sorry I didn't listen to the deep dive, but did you talked about how Doe and Tay met each other through their hospital, didn't you? Did
yeah.
they meet? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So they met at a hospital.
She was a nurse.
Yeah. She was a nurse. He was not a nurse.
Marshall Applewhite was either visiting someone or he was at the hospital like as a patient, but it's kind of fuzzy. And I actually wanted to ask you guys, how did you two meet? Because I don't know that story.
Us?
Yeah.
Oh God.
I mean-
How did Jessica and I meet?
Yeah. I mean, if
We
we're
met through
talking
mutual
about how
friends. We met
meet
through
each
mutual
other.
friends. I read her palm and then told her dog was going to die.
Literally, that's what he said to my fucking face.
Ah.
And
Really?
my dog at the
What a
time was
dick.
my dog at the time was a puppy. I'm like,
Wow.
that's the fuck what? He's not gonna die. Worst reading ever.
And then you became his friend after that?
Well,
That
for
would
a
be like-
while I didn't know, not right away, and then we just kept going to the same fucking bar, and then
And then all our other friends got shitty.
yeah, we just hung out. Well, listen, so then skip forward, and the reason was because Tenney gets high key stalkers, like bad stalkers that send him creepy shit in the mail, and one was getting a little pushy, a lot pushy, and they were supposed to be at an event he was doing, and I go, listen, all you have to do is bring me with you, and I'll sit at your little table, and I guarantee this bitch isn't gonna come near the table. And then I went, and now I go to all of them.
Yeah.
So that's what happened. I was like a bodyguard / friend time.
Yeah, she was sending me you. I think you will all appreciate this weirdness. This woman who came to an event of mine, and then she told me that we had been married in a past life.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
And then she started sending, she paid a service on the internet to find my home address.
Oh no.
So she started sending me like her dirty clothes so that I could smell her,
And half open food.
and half open food and half drank bottles of wine and
Yup.
liquor so that I could share drinks with her.
Yep.
Was
And
she local?
she said that y'all made out on the Queen Mary and you did not.
Yes.
Tony doesn't kiss anyone. We all know that.
Yeah,
I
I don't
know.
kiss anybody.
He's
No.
not a kisser. No.
Yeah, that's my nightmare.
Kissing
No.
I
someone
came-
is scary.
This
Yeah.
wasn't her. And now I will say this though, like no matter what people are going through or what they're like, so she has passed away recently. So RIP to my stalker. But
Mhm.
there was another instance where I
Who
did a
just
lecture.
drank a beer to her dying? Who was that? Who was that?
Going out.
Thrown out. Oh my
I
god.
Rest in peace.
Sorry.
I did a lecture at the library in my hometown, and I left, went home, changed clothes, went back to the bar, didn't get home. So my lecture ended at 9, came home for a couple minutes, changed clothes, went back to the bar until bar closed, went back home at 3:00 in the morning, and there was a woman sitting on my front porch. And I walked up and I was like, "Can I help you?" And she was like, "Oh, Mr. Tenney, I saw you lecture earlier tonight, and I had a ghost story. So I wanted to tell you, and I followed you home, but you left right away. So I've been waiting for you to come home." So she had been sitting on my front porch for like hours.
Wow.
And I told her, like, "You can't be here. This is my house." And it was immediately like a switch flipped. And she was like, "You fucking asshole. I've waited here all night long." And I called the cops and they came and took her away.
Oh,
That's sad.
that's
Pretty
scary.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very
It-
scary.
It's very scary.
Way scarier than ghosts and UFOs and Bigfoot.
That was a really long answer to how we met.
That was a nice answer, though.
Very detailed.
Jessica was the least creepy of all the people I knew.
Aw.
Which is crazy because I'm pretty fucking creepy.
That's a good compliment. You're the least creepy person I know.
I don't know how.
But tell them how my palm reading helped you.
Yeah, I like to think that at the time I was renting a house that didn't have a fenced-in yard, and it was about 4 houses off of a main road. So I feel like him telling me that my dog was going to die really made me careful and made me make sure it was on a leash and be protective of the yard and the dog and blah blah blah. So I'm like, maybe that me being overly careful did help, but he lived to be 14. He didn't die. Or I mean, he did die, but not when he said it was going to happen. I don't know, but
and now he's a ghost dog.
No,
now he's a ghost dog. Now he's our ghosty mascot.
that's so cute.
I was going to say too. Well, firstly, how did you two meet?
Oh, can I tell the story?
Yeah, please do. You tell it better than I do. So,
Oh my God, that's like, are we a married couple? So we grew up in the same hometown, and it's so crazy because Nicole's uncle had this ring, right? But the ring was forged by a bunch of elves a long time ago.
What?
And we had to keep this ring. We had to put it in a volcano.
This is a different story, Noel. This is a different story.
no, I'm pretty sure this is our story.
Yeah. And then Nicole had to wear the ring, and I had to carry her because she was too weak up the mountain. But eagles were there the whole time, and they could have just taken us.
They couldn't have. Listen, as a Maiar, speaking directly with Eru Iluvatar, I know this is not your story.
Okay.
Pretty sure it is.
It got very nerdy Lord of the Rings really fast.
We let you tell your story.
It's Lord of the Rings.
Just let them have their moment, please.
We went to high school together, and we were
Cute.
it was sophomore year, I think.
Yes.
And we were doing a swimming section in gym class, and neither of us wanted to swim.
Mm-hmm.
So we hid in the bathroom, and we're like, "Hi, I'm Nicole. Hi, I'm Noel. It's nice to meet you. Let's not swim."
Mm-hmm.
And so we were hiding in the locker room, and the teacher came in, and she's like, "Why aren't you swimming?" And Nicole immediately starts fake crying. And I was like, I'm just, she's so sad. And Nicole's like, my dog. And I'm like, oh, her dog, it's her dog. And it was just improv 101. And we were just yes-anding each other into Nicole crying. And the teacher's like, oh, no, you're good. Just whatever. And then we became best friends immediately.
Yeah, and then we just started a podcast together. That's
Over
how
life.
Okay, both of our stories had a random dog thing.
right.
That was cute.
So,
Josh, what's your random dog story?
Yeah.
Do you have a random dog story?
Yeah, it's actually kind of scary. I was with my stepdad. He was putting I don't know. He was did construction stuff for people, kind of like a handyman. And so we went to these people's homes, and I was just hanging out because I was I don't know, 7. So I wasn't really working. I was just walking around throwing rocks in the woods and stuff. And Alabama country boy stuff. Just throw some rocks in the woods. And so they had a dog that I did not know about, and it was a gigantic German Shepherd. And this is when I learned that I might have superpowers because the dog came around the corner barking and gnashing its teeth, and I jumped on top of his dually truck. I still don't know to this day how I got on top of the truck, considering I was 4'7". But yeah, so I was up there for 30 minutes, just hanging out.
It was a Cujo situation.
You're
Yeah.
levitated.
Yeah, so random dog story. There you go.
I love unknown superpowers. My what is a step aunt? I guess it would be. My step aunt was driving, and she lives in rural northern Michigan. And as she was driving down this dirt road, she saw a tractor flipped over, and the farmer was underneath the tractor. And she jumped out of her car, ran over, and tilted the tractor back up.
I love stories like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she grabbed a tractor and just turned it over all by herself. And so she saved the guy, but she had ripped all of the muscles in her shoulders and arms, but didn't realize it. Her adrenaline was so high that she didn't even realize that she had done it. And to this day, it's one of those cases of people getting superhuman strength, super crazy.
Yeah.
I love supernatural superpower stories.
There's like this
Adrenaline
thing
does
in our
crazy
brain.
stuff to the body.
Mhm.
It does, yeah. It like unlocks. Like we have like this thing that tells us like we can't do it, and then if you just like ignore it, you can
Mhm.
lift tractors and jump on top of dualies when you're a tiny child.
Tiny child.
What's Jess? What's everybody's superpower then? I'll tell you mine right now. Mine is the most boring superpower in the world, which is when I'm in the city that I grew up in, which I can't be hit by a car. That's my superpower.
Okay, I'm just gonna knock on this wood really quick.
Banter haven't yet.
No, I cannot be hit by a car.
Okay.
Like I can walk out in the middle of the busiest street in the city. As long as I'm in the city, I will not get hit by a car.
Okay.
You've tested this
I've
method,
experimented with this.
like
Yes.
Froggered it in between.
Yes.
Wow.
I don't know what mine is. I never thought about it.
Yeah.
You have the power to annoy me at any second.
Literally right back at you, bro. We got the fight today on Twitter
Over a Korean pop band.
over annoying.
And Tenney threatened to cancel the show. I was like, well, all right, that was our chance.
I know. I'm like, well, I'm the point person between every guest we have, so I guess good luck if I'm not involved anymore.
I couldn't do the show without Jessica. She is the meat. I am the
Potatoes.
I am the piece of parsley on the plate.
Oh, that was actually really nice.
Oh,
But it's not true, but it was really nice. I was gonna say too, you guys were at Belvoir. You guys go to quite a few events. I think we met you for the first time at Paracon, right? Or was it
No,
somewhere
they weren't at Belvoir. They were at Waverly.
we were at Waverly, yeah.
I wanted to say it literally says Waverly on the piece of paper.
So we met you guys at Paracon last
Mhm.
year, and then
Mhm.
I think we kind of just like became like Twitter friends.
Instant
Yeah.
enemies.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we went to Waverly and we were waiting in the line to meet John Tenney. And before he says anything to us, he just goes like this.
He gave to like a nice older woman, and he's like, "Excuse me for one moment." And she's like,
He stopped a woman speaking to him and was like, "I'm sorry, ma'am." Flicks us off.
"You deserve that."
He did.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
we were just one of the people outside talking to Tenney, as he does.
Yeah.
A person of the people, as we all know.
I like to talk.
Love it.
It's a
What
gift
was
from
your-
it's a gift from my mother.
No,
No.
Miss Tenney's mom.
Ah.
What was your favorite place of what was your favorite point of Waverly or the hotel or anything? Did anything crazy happen to y'all?
I didn't get any crazy things happening to me at Waverly. And I even at one point, Aaron Sagers, he took me away from the group and put me in a room by myself. And I just didn't feel any creepiness. It was cool. I didn't get any of the spookies that I think other people did. I think my favorite part was honestly just meeting everyone and
like being in the hotel. with
gaining
them.
friends. Yeah.
Yeah. When we first got there, we got into the there's 3 elevators, and Nicole's one of these a woman died in or something. So we get in and we push the button and it's not working. And Nicole's like, "Oh my God, this is the haunted one, right? It's the 3rd one." And then we realized you had to use the key to make it go. So that was as close as we got to having some sort of paranormal experience.
What is this about? What is this about here?
The alien in the window. What was that? Oh, Nicole did take a picture of a. Is that what you're talking about?
I got a creepy photo at Waverly. It's kind of it's a head and shoulders, and it doesn't look like there's any feet, but it's down a hallway, and it kind of looks like an alien. It kind of looks like a gray, actually. That was the spookiest thing I would say that we captured from
Ew.
Waverly.
It's kind of when Josh was talking earlier. I feel for me, Waverly is one of those places where, when I first investigated Waverly, it was in the 90s, and it wasn't that haunted. And then, the legends grew up around it, and it became more haunted. And I feel because nothing really spooky happened to me at Waverly either.
Mhm.
But I think it's because of what the conversation Josh and I had, and then we're talking about it earlier on the podcast. I think that people go to Waverly expecting it to be really spooky, and so they leave a lot of fear and anxiety inside of it, and that's when people get spooky ooky stuff happening to them. But when you have a group like us, it was 250 people, right?
Yeah.
And everybody was laughing and friends, and then Waverly reacted the same way, it was just a nice weird place to be.
Yeah, like our personal little like group was 21 people, including like the hosts and the people that were working there. So it was just like all of us kind of like chatting and being like, what was that? What was that? But I feel like it was just, we were just like vibing. It wasn't like ghost anywhere. And then Nicole one.
Yeah, the picture that I actually captured too was when I went away from the group by myself, and I was like just kind of taking pictures and like distancing myself from the group because I kind of felt that energy. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to experience anything with like when everyone's here, and like it didn't feel spooky to me, so I try to like go off by myself and like make something happen. And that's actually when I snapped that picture, was when I was on one of the tangents by myself.
That was on the main floor.
And I think sometimes when you put so many people in a building, like so at Belvoir last weekend, friend Lauren took a picture and like it looked like a spooky man walking up the hill to the cemetery.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like sometimes when you have so many people in a location, the ghost is like I'm out. I'm gonna go stand over there. You guys can go and do what you want. Like, but I'm not in the mood to talk to anyone, so I'll be down the hill.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Noel and Nicole. Do y'all do investigations as well?
No, we live in a house that's super haunted, so I'm gonna count that. Every day is an investigation for me personally. But that was our first actual, like, my personal first investigation. Nicole's done a couple. And Belvoir was your first, right, Joshua?
Yep.
Yeah. It's
my very
crazy,
first.
right? It's so cool.
Yeah, it really it gets you. You like just want to keep doing it over and over. Even some things that I thought were creepy aren't as creepy as I thought they were. Now that I've actually investigated it, now it's like I kind of want the creep, which is weird and not what I thought I would say. But yeah, here we are. But I'm very intrigued by y'all's house. Like, what do you mean your house is super haunted?
Yeah, tell us more about the house for sure.
So it's actually, she turns 100 next year, so we're having a party. Everyone's invited. Come.
Mine turned 100 this year.
Are you having a party? We'll come.
I'm not, but I will.
Okay.
I didn't plan on it, but let's have one.
Let's do it.
I turned 100 years ago.
Did you have a party?
No.
Oh,
it was 100 years ago. Whatever.
So it's just like a tiny little house. Nicole and I, like I said, are roommates, and Nicole always wanted to live in a haunted house. Every house I've ever lived in, I feel like, has been haunted.
Same.
And that's like Nicole's dream. She's like, I just want to live in a haunted house, everything. And then she moved in and immediately had an experience and was like, okay, this is different than I thought.
Oh, yeah. So our dynamic is like, I want the hauntings. I'm like, yes, let's do it. And Noelle's like, I'm scared. No.
Okay, rude. Yeah, I'm scared. But I just kind of like, we can be roommates. Like me and like my ghost friends can be roommates. That's fine. Everything's good. But don't move my things, please. And because I already lose things, so please don't do that.
Yeah.
And also, like, don't scare me. But like, we can coexist in the same space. I don't mind. I'll be friends with you. Just don't scare me.
Yeah. But Noelle's seen things. I've heard things. We have lights turn on randomly. Like if I'm not home, my bedroom light will just turn on.
Oh yeah, that happened last weekend. I was walking. We have like a tiny little hallway. Our rooms are like at the end of a hallway, and there's a door like going into it. So I was walking towards it, and I like saw like I felt like I saw a shadow, but who knows, right? Maybe I didn't. And then I heard the floor creak, and then Nicole's bedroom light turned on, and I was the only one home.
Mm-hmm.
And
This is a house.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just y'all there, or is it like split, or?
No, it's just us.
The
it's
two
just
of
like
us, yeah.
A little like 900-foot house.
Do you have room for a guest?
Yes, you can sleep up here. We have.
Because listen, I have to come there where you all live. I'm not going to say where, but I have to come there in October for something. And the weekend that I have to come there, I'm not even kidding you. The hotels are pricing out at like $1,200 a night. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
That's crazy.
Can me and Toad just like sleep on your floor?
Hell yeah. You can sleep in the haunted attic. We got
You want to sleep in the attic?
Yeah.
Okay.
Haunted attic. You and Toad?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the scariest part of the house. My mom used to live here, and she said that there was one day they had like a roommate, and she heard him like walking around in the attic, and then heard him run down the stairs, which are like super, super steep, and then run back up the stairs. And she had, when she was living here, she had my older brother who was like a baby. She's like, this guy's being like so freaking loud. Like, he needs to stop. My baby's sleeping. So she pulls the door open, and after she like heard him like run down the stairs, and there was no one there. And she came up here, and there was no one here.
Ah.
Yeah, it's super haunted.
Just so you know,
down.
Jessica and I have been friends for 10 years, and she's
Ooh.
never asked to spend the night in my creepy house.
Oh,
Is your house
Why-
haunted?
you live 5 seconds from me. Why would I stay over your house?
Friends?
Well-
That's weird.
well, you can sleep over. We'll play light as a feather, stiff as a board. We'll do nails. We'll do seances, whatever.
Ouija
Tenney, you
board.
want to come? You can come.
Yeah.
Joshua, you want to come? You can come. Let's go.
Everyone's invited.
Everyone's
So excited.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel like every house that I've lived in as a kid was also
Yeah.
haunted. My only thing is like I like my sleep. Like, just don't bother me while I'm sleeping, or when
Right.
I wake up in the middle of the night while I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
And like, just don't touch me. Other than that, go off. Do what you need
Yeah.
to do. Just don't bother me personally at my personal time. Like, throw my plates around. I don't care. I'll go buy some more.
Right.
but-
They're from IKEA anyways. Like,
It's funny that you say that, because all of the creepy experiences that I've had have always been when I'm sleeping. It's like I get
Yeah.
woken up, and like one time I had my leg like half out, like one leg under the cover, one leg out, and like the cover was lifted, and my leg out of the cover like was lifted up. And every time I'm just like, I'm trying to sleep. Can you stop? And then they do, which is fine. But it's always when I'm trying to sleep is that when they try to get my attention. I don't know why.
I'd be a very angry man in there, and I would personally be responsible for the angry, violent, paranormal activity that happens, because my energy would be so bad. Because I'd wake up at 2:30 and be like, "Leave me alone before I sage this house." I will sage. But yeah, I just hate being bothered when I'm asleep. Like that's when
Yeah.
I'm my meanest, I think.
yeah.
So
Do you
kudos
have-
to y'all.
Do you have any
That's
good
why-
stories? From when you
I actually do have a really good ghost story, and my best ghost story comes from when I was sleeping. So my brother lived in like what I consider a haunted apartment, because like
Yeah.
crazy stuff was always happening in there. But like it's one of the things you kind of get used to living with. But yeah, so I was in college, I was sleeping. I had a rough day that day too. So I was like trying to watch The Office and like really get the ick off. And so I finally go to sleep. And in the middle of the night, I kid you not, I had a poster, because this was his apartment, so I didn't like redecorate. So he had a poster, but technically I had a poster because it was my room, beside my bed. And I get this urge to like just wake up. So I wake up, and the moment that I open my eyes, like whatever was like in the room, like snatched the poster like off the wall. And there was this big black mass that just like scurried out of the room. And I did not go back to sleep the night because it scared me so bad. But it's something that I remember so vividly, and was like wide awake as it scurried and went like out the room. So yeah, that was one of my more haunting experiences that kind of scared me, and also why I don't like to be bothered while I'm asleep. That started it off. No idea what it was. It never happened again. It just happened one time. So I figured maybe like I did that because I was having a really rough day that day.
Yeah. Was it like an NSYNC poster and like the ghost is like a Backstreet Boys fan or something?
I honestly don't even remember. And the funny thing is like it wasn't like it wasn't connected with thumbtacks like the kind that you can pull out. It's the flathead kind. So like all the thumbtacks were out of the wall and like and on the floor, and
Well,
the poster was ripped, and it was crazy. Like there's no way like wind did that. That was something.
Yikes.
But yeah, that's my really scary ghost story.
that's super
uh,
scary.
Yeah.
That's
So-
why you have to, you have to build force fields around your house like I do, so that nothing can get in after you go to places. Like my friends jokingly always talk about the force field over my house
How do
because
you do that?
it's just like I have my method of doing it, like my magical way of doing it, but like the easiest way that I tell people to start is So if you come over to my house, any of the doors that lead outside, on the door frame, there is either like a poem that I really love or a picture of my family. And every time I walk in my house, I touch it and I just spend a fraction of a second remembering that it's my space. And I think that over a period of time, everything, human or otherwise, realizes like this is my space and they can't come into it. So like that's a real simple. The other thing is too, is I tell people, so like there's this also historical prospect of staking your claim. And so like go outside onto your property and just take like whether it's a railroad spike or a nail or even a little piece of wood and go out there and pound, like stake your claim. Like go out there and pound a little thing in the corner of each of the property lines of your house. And while you're doing it, just remember like this is my place. This is where I live. And I think you build up the intention and it becomes like a force field to other stuff that like it. My house has been through some weird stuff. I can tell things are trying to get inside and they can't. Like there was a kid in my neighborhood and he was on his bike one day and he was like, Tenney, he's like, I saw a man standing on your roof last night. And I was like, oh, what did he look like? And the kid goes, I don't know. It was your roof. And so like people have seen people standing on my house.
Yeah.
One winter on my garage in the snow, there were footprints on my garage of someone standing in the snow on my garage. And it's like they can't get in.
Wow.
That is wild.
Otherwise, I can't sleep.
Okay, Nicole, I'm gonna go nail a bunch of nails into the lawn. So next time you mow, be careful.
Please do. Stake our boundaries.
Yeah.
Yes. And someone just said in the chat too, you can, traditional, if you're doing some like medicine or like some ritual, old school folkloric magic, like you can pee around your property line too.
All right. Well, the neighbors are going to love that because I'm going to do that after I put the nails in.
Listen, let me just tell you, when I'm like re-upping my force field around my house, everybody in my neighborhood, I've lived here 12 years now. They're like, whatever, it's fucking Tenney. He's salting his property. He writes chalk sigils on his front porch like every year. Like they're fine with it at this point.
A perimeter of piss around your entire property. Like it's
Piss
fine.
perimeter.
If you're not peeing on stuff, are you really doing magic?
No, for sure not. Yeah. Joshua, I wanted to tell you, you do like the whole like Southern folklore stuff, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna paint the roof of our back porch paint blue.
Yay.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we just have to
Yeah.
pick one out because apparently there's a couple different colors we can choose.
Yeah. So if you want, you might, like if you're gonna go with the whole Southern route, you might as well like get the bottle tree out there too while you're at it.
Yes.
Just the
way.
Those are so pretty.
Yeah. So now you won't have, wasps and you won't have ghosts. So,
Perfect.
problem
My
solved.
two biggest enemies.
Perfect.
Cute.
That's amazing. Okay.
That's cool.
Jess, you haven't told a ghost story, so.
Oh God.
Oh,
My
geez.
house is haunted. I've always felt like there was a guy here, and then I bring home numerous. I always pick stuff from not you.
In the future, I'm going to come back and haunt you.
I've always felt like there's like a man who walks around in my dining room, right? I don't know who the fuck it is, but then also I steal little pieces from all the locations I go to.
Oh
So
yeah.
I'll take like a shard of wood or a rock or a piece of glass or whatever. So I have jars here of like a lot of famous locations. So I'll like whip up my own activity every once in a while when I bring home a new stupid thing. I'm like, okay, this one's mixing in too. Sorry guys. And then it gets crazy for a while and then it goes back down. But then also I had an ex-boyfriend who I dated for quite a while and he was here. I forget if I was still at work or something, but he was sleeping on my couch. And he said a woman in a black dress fucking woke him up. And she said, "You're welcome." And he's like, and that's all that happened. And I'm like, what do you mean? She said, "You're welcome." Like, you're welcome. Like you said, thank you, or you're welcome. Like you're welcome here. And he's like, I don't know. So I don't know who the fuck that was. I have never felt like a female presence, but obviously maybe the lady just wanted to appear to him. He was very handsome. So great. But I felt like I've always just felt a guy, but I'm not scared of anything here. There was quite a while, like, it just gets like, you guys probably know too, it gets ramped up every once in a while. It'll come and go and come and go.
Yes.
And I found, especially when I had Bean, it would fuck with Bean a lot, and he would get really scared and he'd be shivering for no reason. And I'd be like, I'd have to say out loud, like, I don't give a fuck. If you live here, you can stay here. You can go in the attic, you can go in the basement, but don't you dare scare my dog or you have to fucking leave. And then it would like die down for a little bit and come back.
What was the apparition you saw at the farm?
What farm?
Didn't you see an apparition at Benton Farm?
Oh yeah, yeah, Benton Farmhouse. I saw like 4 ghosts.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
full body apparitions.
Oh wow.
Yeah, at Benton Farmhouse in Kentucky, me and Tenney were there, Greg and Dana were there. It was like not that many people. It was a pretty small group, but there was like little groups going through the house. So the way the night started was I had Bean with me and we went downstairs and they had Billy with them and they were doing like EVPs. So we were in, it was like an old farmhouse basement. So it was like wet and like dirt. It wasn't like finished. So we were down there for a little bit. They were doing EVPs, blah, blah, blah. The dog was being super quiet, but I was like, let me get him out of here before he disrupts their evidence or whatever. So we go upstairs. We went to the middle floor of the building. And as I was passing past this one room that was like very open, I like looked over and I saw like a woman in a black and white dress like do like a big elaborate spin and then fucking disappear. And I was like, okay, cool, what's up? Hi. I wasn't even scared. It's just like happened. I was like, great. Went up to the 3rd floor.
Like, oh, that happened.
I don't even care in the moment. I like think about it after. I need to download it after. So when it happened, I'm like, great. I hope you're having a great time. Go up to the 3rd floor. You were lecturing to like a little group of people in a circle. Me and Bean sat there for a while and then we dipped out again. So we go back to that 2nd floor and there was a stairwell and a very skinny hallway. And you know where like you'll be in a store or wherever and you feel like you get that like sense that you're in somebody's fucking way, like you're blocking the flow of traffic.
Yeah.
So this whole time my flashlight was going out because of, you know, it soaks your energy, whatever. So I'm almost back to the stairwell. My flashlight's out. I thought one of the groups was coming behind me because I looked over my shoulders and I saw the head and shoulders of 3 fucking people waiting behind me. And I'm like, I'm so fucking sorry. My flashlight's out. I have my flashlight, my phone, the dog leash in my hand. I'm like, just give me a second. So I smacked the flashlight on my hand, turn around to flash it at the people. And there's nobody fucking there. It was like, those people were not real. Like there was 3 people behind me that were not fucking real. So at that point, I was like, okay, fuck this. I've seen 4 ghosts now. I think I'm done. I scooped up the dog, go down the stairs, get outside, and Greg and Dana were out there smoking. And Dana goes, "You're never gonna believe what happened." And I'm like, oh. In my head, I'm like, yes, the fuck I will believe it because I've been having a time.
Yeah.
So she goes, okay, so we were in the basement doing EVPs, and we thought that Bean and you were still down there, so it was in between sessions. You know, you go from recording to not recording, whatever. She's like, we were in between recording, all just standing there, and we heard an audible growl at the back of the basement, and we thought it was Bean, and we all turned our flashlights, and y'all were gone. So we don't know what growled. It wasn't Bean. Mm-hmm. So like that whole place was like off the fucking chain. Like so many things happened that night. I would love to go back, but it was wild. Yeah. So I've seen numerous like full body apparitions. I saw full body apparitions in my childhood house. Yeah. I've seen the last.
She saw a cowboy in her old house.
I did. I saw a cowboy in my childhood house, and then at the last tattoo shop that I worked at, I saw a full body apparition twice. Who was like a mechanic guy. But yeah, I've had a lot of times where I've seen.
I think a lot of times we see ghosts and don't realize that they're ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think they look so human and so solid and full color. Like they're probably passing by us, whether you want to call them ghosts, spirits, entities, angels, whatever. Like, I think that they're around us all the time and we just don't notice it because we're too busy doing our stuff. But they're like just joining in. They just want to be around.
For sure. My grandma just came to visit. She lives on a big farm in northern Wisconsin. And I was talking to her about this memory that I had. Like every time I'd go up there, I would see this man. And I thought he worked there, like worked on the farm. And he'd like come in through the front door and like go in the kitchen and like open the refrigerator and then like go back out. I was like, who was that guy that used to work at the farm? She's like, what are you talking about? Like there was a man that used to come in all the time. She's like, oh, the ghost? And I was like, what's happening?
The ghost.
She's like, there's a spirit that comes in. It's like a dark shadow. And I was like, no, this was an adult man. She's like, no, that wasn't a real person.
Oh
It's
my
like,
god.
oh, okay. I've only seen him like 100 times. So
Wow.
cool.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, when I'd moved my mom in with me, she told me, because as she got near end of life, she started telling me more secrets that I never knew. And one of the things that she told me was the house that she grew up in was my grandfather's house that he had grown up in. And so my grandfather's brother, when he was in 4th grade, he was in school and got hit on the head. He was talking. They hit him on the head on the temple with a big wooden ruler.
Oh no.
And they caused like an aneurysm in his brain. And they took him home and he died. But he died in this fever and he was like screaming for water and he was so hot. And my mom said that in that house, like every night around the time that my grandfather's brother died, you would hear little footsteps come out of his bedroom, walk down the steps. They would get to where the bathroom was at the bottom of the steps, and then they would just like turn around in a circle like he had forgotten what he needed and then go back up to his room.
Oh, I just got this.
I've tried to get for 20 years, or not 20 years, but for 2 years, I've tried to get permission from the people to go to that property to see if it still is happening.
Yeah.
That would be crazy.
Like a residual type of thing, do you think it is?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, just because he was in such a like fever mess when he died, like that energy was left over. Not that he was, but that
Right.
confusion of what was happening is left over.
Yeah, that like trauma event.
Yeah. Yep. Which I think is what a lot of residual energy is, right? Like it's the stored trauma. And whether or not it's the person, it's the house remembering the trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really clever. Like the space actually like holds the memory.
It's like
Yeah.
an imprint of energy is like what it is.
I think a lot of times, because years and years ago when I would do lectures, I would talk about like if you slam your front door hard enough, it'll bounce back open like a screen door. But if you slam it really fucking hard, like it'll stay, right? But it takes energy to bounce it back open. And if it stays shut, where did that energy go? Like it went into the building.
Sorry.
Oh, we like
so-
it.
Whole situation.
So that energy that stays in the building, like where does that go? Sure, some of it works itself out with thermal heat and whatever like that, but like it bounces around in the house. Well, if you have someone in the house who's going through trauma and they're leaving, but like they're screaming and they're crying, like they're emitting energy. Our bodies are big wet batteries. And so like, does it get stored up in the walls? And even after that person dies, like the house has to release that energy to get rid of it. So like, is that some of the hauntings we're experiencing?
Yeah, sure.
I have a theoretical question that I'd love to hear some thoughts on. How do y'all feel about guiding people to the light?
Tenney, you want to take that one?
No, you guys start. I'm drinking. I'm going to finish this screwdriver. You guys hypothesize.
I don't have any experience with that. That's the thing. I mean, we're kind of newbies in all of this ghost hunting and stuff.
I don't think I say go towards the light. I just say like we need to live together. If you're gonna stay here, you need to respect my boundaries. You're not allowed to scare my pets. You're not allowed to scare me. Like we can coexist. I'm not the only person who's ever fucking lived here. I'm not gonna be cocky, but I don't.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't necessarily go. Okay, go to your idea of heaven. I don't. That's not for me to decide.
No, I feel like there's a lot of like that, like people think ghosts are here because they have like unfinished business. I think ghosts. I personally believe that like the ghost realm or whatever is just like kind of like here also. Like I feel like sometimes like you see ghosts that are people that are still alive from the past or the beginning or like from the future or whatever, and like our energy is just kind of all mingling, and you can see yourself or
I agree.
Whatever. So I don't think that there's necessarily like people that are stuck here because it's some kind of like weird purgatory or unfinished business.
Oh my
I
god!
think that we're all just like roommates, like toe to chest. They're just coexisting.
He's a shark.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I agree completely. I think that if we do persist and there's something of our humanity left, it's the same as telling someone to go home at the end of the night at a bar, right? Like. You can tell them, but it's going to be their choice ultimately, like whether or not they're going to go.
Right.
And I've had a lot of situations over the past 30 years where like people said, like, we should call in a priest and help that person get back to heaven. And the thing is like, I don't know if that person was religious. I don't know what their religion was. Like, why are they going to trust? Like, if someone lived in a house for 50 years and they were a Buddhist, why is a priest telling them to go somewhere going to mean anything to them?
Right.
I don't know what that person's spirituality or religious belief system was, but I can offer them kindness and say, like, listen, if you don't want to be here, you can go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like, give them options. But I don't think declaring to people, like, maybe explaining to them, like, you're not here in the physical form anymore. That's fine. If you want to be here, that's fine. If you don't want to be here, you can go somewhere else. But telling people, like, you have to go to the light, cross over, you're done here. I can't tell you how many houses I've been to that have been cleared, and then a year later they're still haunted.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I just sing closing time, and if they want to leave, they can.
I would leave.
You don't have to go.
Closing time. Yeah, just
I'm out immediately.
They're like, "Where's the light?"
No, I'm a good singer. How dare you? Yeah.
This
What's-
doesn't have anything to do with fucking anything, but I just want to put out there that y'all are like equally obsessed with Olive Garden as we are, and that's like a real like emotional like connection that we have. Olive Garden and Capri Suns.
Yes.
Oh, I was gonna grab one, but Nicole took all the.
Josh, are you an Olive Garden fan?
I'm not gonna lie. I've been chasing Olive Garden pasta in other places and have yet to find it. I'm just gonna be real. I think people sleep on Olive Garden, to be honest.
They
Oh,
do.
yeah.
Why do people act like
100%.
they're too good for all the Olive
They
Garden?
do.
So good.
It never misses. Like, if you get
Never
chicken
misses.
Alfredo, you're going to like it 100% of the time, and then you're going to take it home and
Yep.
enjoy it even more than when you were in the restaurant eating the chicken Alfredo.
100%.
it is
I
100%.
knew we were going to be friends forever.
It's there for you.
I love Olive Garden. I will like go there right now. I've
What
ordered.
do
I
I can't,
wish I could go there right now.
like, I've DoorDashed so much from Olive Garden.
We don't have one on our DoorDash. It's too far away.
Oh.
It's a good thing too, because I would weigh 750 pounds.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, but you're so happy.
my
So-
bank account is not happy that Olive Garden is nearby.
So we've actually, like, our podcast, we've reached out to Olive Garden to be like, do you guys want to like sponsor us?
Throw a
Or,
bone
like,
our way. Throw a breadstick our way.
throw a breadstick? And they're like, no, we're good. And we're like, oh, okay.
Literally, they're like, yeah, we don't like do sponsorships. I'm like, okay, well, I still love you because we're family, but
We're just
They
gonna
may
throw
not
that
do
out there.
sponsorships, but they send us shit because they love us.
well, I'm
We
seething
don't love
with
us.
jealousy.
Hey,
Jessica
we're not
and I actually had a conversation about holding an event at an Olive Garden.
We
Can I
did.
go?
We're past the box of regular paranormal events. We're trying to like.
We're like, can we do a haunted event at an Olive Garden?
Yeah, we're literally, listen, the last time me and Tenney hung out, I'm like, what are you doing? He's on the phone to fucking Olive Garden. I'm like, all right, let's do it. Let's get a group.
Wait, is there an Olive Garden around Michigan Paracon? Because I feel like we should probably.
There's not.
There's nothing around
I
Michigan.
was gonna-
Paracon. It's
I
a
was gonna invite
wasteland.
you guys to the Applebee's. Josh, were you going to Michigan Paracon?
So, funny story. Thanks to this past weekend, maybe.
Oh shit!
So,
Do it.
I'm trying my hardest to see if I can make it happen.
It
I don't
is
know where-
very inconvenient, but worth it.
It's
my God.
amazing, but super inconvenient. Yes.
Plus, I heard that some guy named Tenney is like lecturing or something.
So am I.
so is Josh.
So is
Yeah.
Jessica, her first lecture.
Oh,
I'm
well, see,
so excited. I'm just
well, now I kind of have to
Oh,
go.
are you joking?
Well, we do this show called Middle Class Fancy where we go to like all the middle class fancy restaurants and then we like review them. And last time we went to the Applebee's at like in the Sioux, we got food poisoning.
Oh.
So,
no.
but we made some bad choices with what we ate. Like,
Right.
let's be honest. We drank the Dwayne the Rock Johnson branded margarita that was like 900 calories. So maybe that wasn't a good like base, you
Oh
know.
my god.
Yeah.
But when we go back, you guys should come and we'll do Middle Class Fancy.
Well, listen, the thing is, if you go to Paracon, you have to either like drive up through the bottom of Michigan or fly into the bottom of Michigan. So if y'all come out, we can go to an Olive Garden towards the airport
Okay.
or towards where we live. We can organize this, but you'll have to get to the state.
Well, we're driving. We're in
Well,
Chicago.
There's
so we're
nothing
going
up here, but we can organize around here.
This is perfect. See, Joshua's gonna drive up to us. We're gonna drive up to you,
Yeah.
and we'll be in the Sioux. That rhymed, unintentional.
Yeah.
That-
By the way,
I mean, I did drive across the country multiple times when we moved to Colorado, like back and forth. So Chicago was like
What is that?
nothing.
Yeah.
Just just a smooth like 16 hours, like
Yeah.
That's like
easy day.
Yes.
Easy work.
And the Aaron Sagers might be staying at my house before Paracon.
Perfect. All of us will go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll just
Party.
all convoy. Carpool.
I'm gonna try my best to get there. Like
Yeah.
now that I know it's gonna be a party, I
it's-
don't want to. I don't want to miss
Well,
out.
listen, remember? Okay, do you guys know what the Trump?
Remember?
Listen, do you? I know.
Remember?
Remember? Do you guys remember? do you guys know what the abomination called the Trump Unity Bridge?
Is that what that bridge is called?
No, listen.
No.
There is this crazy thing that this guy owns, apparently.
In Michigan.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's like
no.
a truck with like a truck bed on the back, like a semi-flat truck bed, and he built this hideous metal monstrosity Trump Unity Bridge, right? And he travels around to the events and drives it around Michigan, whatever. So the last time that me and Tenney were at dinner with Aaron Sagers, this guy, the only two other people in the restaurant were this guy and his old grandma, old mom, whatever. So they were trying to be nice to the guy. I think they helped. Didn't y'all help walk her out or something?
I went outside because his mom, my mom had moved in with me by that point. My mom had a lot of mobility issues. And so I went out, they were in the restaurant with us. I went outside and his mother had mobility issues. So I helped them get her in the car. And then he was like, thank you so much. You're so helpful. He's like, here's my business card. And he gives me his business card and it's covered with fucking MAGA shit. And it's like owner of the Trump Unity Bridge. And then like I looked at the back of his car and it was all these just like hate-filled stickers. And I was like,
why
why did
there
I
a
fucking
way-
help this person?
Listen, is there a way to put a picture of the Trump Unity Bridge on the screen?
I'll try and find one.
I don't know how to do
Keep
this.
talking.
It'll be easy. It is like a garbage pile
Yeah.
connected to a truck.
Okay, so we'll egg that on the way up, right?
Literally. It was so funny though, because we were like this, just of all the people, this guy hands us a card like, oh, you're so proud to own that fucking garbage.
That's
Yeah.
a nightmare.
I just looked it up.
It
It
is a
might be the
garbage
worst thing I've
pile.
ever seen.
Yes,
It
he's
is-
going around a
It's
pile
terrible.
of metal garbage.
It's disgusting in every way.
I can't even and he was so proud of you have a business card. You are
Well,
embarrassing.
I
Oh,
agree.
wait. No, but my whole point was
Oh.
if we go out to dinner with Aaron Sagers again, who the fuck is gonna be in the restaurant this time?
Definitely
Oh, I can't do it.
someone else crazy. Or I'm just saying, we TP, we egg. I mean, not for legal reasons, we're not doing that. But
Not
we
saying we're
definitely don't do that. This Trump unity thing. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, that might happen.
Also, the Tiger King is running against Trump for president this next election.
Isn't he in jail?
Yeah.
For now?
Run
The
in
world is
jail.
fucking upside down.
Yeah.
Who knows if you can run in jail? I don't
He's
know.
appealed though. He's
Elections are
appealed.
anything now. It's anything is anything.
He's
now.
not gonna get out. I mean,
No.
I don't know. I don't know.
I used to do in the 90s, I would do these lectures. I had lectures and it was called
Will you lecture?
It was the specific lectures were called Stranger Than True. And I would tell the most bizarre conspiracies, like to just show how conspiracies can go off the rails. And now here I am 30 years later, and like elected people are saying shit that I said at that lecture. And I'm like, these people are out of their fucking minds. They're out of their minds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not to get political, but Olive Garden is the best restaurant.
It is really the best. Like,
We
hands
will take
down.
that stance.
I just
When
really
is Olive Garden going to run for president?
OG4P, am I right?
Yeah, they drop
Yes.
a hard bargain. I've never been to an Olive Garden where I walked out and said, "Wow, I'm
Yeah.
so upset that I spent my money here."
never.
It's a
And
fact.
Not once.
Everything in life can be broken into 3 categories: soup, salad, or breadsticks.
That's it.
That's it. Me today, I'm feeling breadstick. Maybe tomorrow
Same.
I'll be salad.
Having a bad day, eat a breadstick. Having a good day, eat a breadstick.
Eat unlimited salads. Eat
Jess and
unlimited-
I had. Go ahead, Jess.
I was gonna say on top of
Where
that,
you
like
go?
Olive Garden is the place that made everybody eat bowls of salad
Yeah,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
you couldn't help it.
Unlimited.
it's
Yep.
unlimited. You're not going to eat it. I mean, you're going to like make them put so much cheese that they decide to stop.
Keep
But
going.
other than that, they're like, say
I mean-
when, you just never say it.
So like Jess and I had this conversation one time, And yeah, I understand Olive Garden corporations are corporate masters, whatever, like that. I get it. But Jess and I had this conversation one time where it was like, the reason that Olive Garden is great is because they were like, okay, we're going to focus on making sure we know exactly how much of this to put into that, so that every time you come here, it's going to taste as great as the last time you were here.
Yeah.
And they nailed it. They
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah, it's the consistency. It's like the every time you know exactly what it's going to taste like every time. It's not going to be fucked up one of the times. No, none of the times is it fucked up.
Never.
All of us should be sponsored by Olive Garden. At
I
the
know
end
we
of
should
this
just send this whole video to them.
Do we just do this? Yeah.
I do have to say we only have like 10 minutes left, so I'm going to say that if you guys aren't Patreons, we are going to continue over on Patreon for an after show. We're going to take a short break because I'm fucking starving, and I'm sure I have to feed the dog and do other stuff, but we will have a Patreon only after show, and we have another special guest that you guys don't know about coming in on the after show. So
There's Josh's, and then I'll put up Nicole.
yeah, and then put up the
and
girls.
Noel's.
It's patreon.com/what's-up-weirdo if you want to continue to hang out with us tonight. I know, where did the 3 hours go? Literally, this went by so fucking fast.
It blew by. It's because Andrew Chestnut came on and just like flooded my brain with information.
I know, blew
That
our
guy
minds.
was wild. He knows
Literally
so
blew our
much.
minds. Everybody rules tonight. I love all you guys. I don't want you to leave yet. I'm just telling people that they need to prepare for what's going to happen when this ends.
Prepare for our departure.
Well, I will
Prepare.
say thank you for having me on. This has been great, and meeting new people who I'm gonna follow. Quite unusual pod. Who I'm gonna follow, and hopefully find y'all when I get off.
Yeah.
Josh, next time you're on, I want you to do how people say city names wrong down south.
So you really got deep into my.
I did. I did, because we have a lot in Michigan that people get wrong.
Don't y'all have like I'm about to butcher this, not on purpose.
Go ahead.
It starts with a Y, and it
Ypsilanti?
Oh, yeah.
Ipsy. Yeah.
Yeah, I was not gonna say Ips.
And then we have there's the one that people get wrong all the time here is Livernois, which is Livernois. And so people always say Livernois.
People say
The way that-
Illinois is Illinois.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's really annoying.
But I saw your list and I was cracking up.
Yeah, some people got really upset. I got some really like kind of salty DMs after that. I was just like, it's all fun. I know how to say these places because I live here. But yeah, some people were like, that's not how you say it. Say it right. Wow, you're illiterate. And I was like, it says it on the video that this is not how you pronounce these names.
I just feel like illiterate and proud, honestly. Yeah.
We get yelled at all of the time with
Yeah.
our podcast saying names because it's like we go on like Google pronounce, but it's never right because like it's not from locals saying it. So we just pronounce it how Google says, and then we'll get like DMs be like, well, actually you said that wrong. This is how you say it. And we're like, I don't fucking know, man.
That's the thing with the internet, though. Like, I look up words, like foreign words, and how they're pronounced. And then as I'm listening to like YouTube pronounce it, I'm like, but I don't know if this person is a psychopath. Like, I don't know who uploaded that video is saying it right.
We were just doing one for Louisville, Kentucky, and I looked up how to pronounce it because like when you say a word so many times, it means nothing anymore. So we were just like going back and forth, like Louisville. We didn't know. And we looked it up, and the pronunciation on like pronunciation.com was Louisville. I'm like, that's not right.
No, it's not even Bill. They say like bowl. You say like
Bowl.
whoa.
Bowl, yeah.
It's like a noise. It's like a weird sound.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Bowl.
One of the first videos that I did that had like a "vil" at the end, like I absolutely refuse. And I told my followers, like, if you think that I'm ever gonna say "vul" towards any of these names in Alabama, then you might as well just go ahead and follow me, because there's a place called Huntsville, and I was like, in Huntsville, Alabama, and some people were like, it's "vul." I was like, no, it's "vil." I'm gonna say "vil." Y'all can say Huntsville, but I'm gonna sound like I have some sense.
Yeah. Or like British words, it's like Worcestershire, and like it's spelled like an insane way. It's like, oh, sorry, I didn't know how to pronounce that word. I thought you invented English.
We have one of the worst though in Michigan, because we have Mackinac Island, and Mackinac ends with a C.
Yeah.
Mackinac.
Yeah.
I never thought about that. I don't know.
Don't you also have like a Mackinac though with a W?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
it's like ultra
Yeah.
confusing.
All
Yeah.
bets are off. Nobody
Yep.
knows.
Nothing is anything, and when you're at Olive Garden, you're family. That's all I know.
That is.
But we're not family because they
That's
won't
the only
sponsor.
thing to know.
Oh, we're not. You and I personally are
You-
not family.
Less than Tenney are family.
Ooh.
We're not family.
We have a visitor.
We
We're
all are.
all family. Yeah,
Yay.
buddy.
My hair is
Oh.
This is
Pretty.
Jade.
Hi.
Jade says hi.
Is that a Siamese or a Burmese?
Baby's here.
She's
Baby's
a
here.
dumpster baby.
Baby's here.
So I think she's a Balinese, maybe.
Balinese.
Like
I have
long
a.
hair.
Baby's here.
I also have a Balinese long hair, so I was like, I thought
Oh,
I
look
just
at baby.
I literally just thought I saw my cat, but it's your cat. So that's
It's
cool.
your cat.
His baby.
Ah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
babies.
All the babies are showing up.
TV time.
5 minutes. 5 minutes to go, and all the babies show up.
I don't have. What kind of baby do I have?
Joshua, go get your baby.
Oh, look.
I would.
Oh God.
I have a
But it's not.
Tribble. I have a Tribble from Star Trek.
Oh, Troubles.
Where's the baby?
How do you only have one? Don't they multiply?
Son.
Oh, Toter.
Oh, no, there's two Tribbles.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, they're multiplying.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
People.
Your house is going to be full of troubles.
Who's the people?
I
Oh, no, no, there's three Tribbles.
Oh,
There's so
no.
many. They're multiplying.
Who's that?
Hi, little babies.
Be friends. Be friends with Toad.
Where are you going?
See a baby?
All right, 5
These are
minutes,
my
people.
two
You got
brats.
plugs? What was that?
See that? These are my two brats.
Oh, look at baby.
Yeah,
Does your Balinese talk like all the time?
all the time.
Yeah,
So much.
Don't
brush
my hair.
Nicest cat in the world. Like I could not say enough good things about her.
Yeah, they're like
she's-
so sweet.
She's so nice and always just wants cuddles. Now I have a long hair. I think she's like, we don't know what she is, but she's like a reverse tortie. Meanest cat in the world.
Torties are mean. Yeah, they're like
Meanest.
being mean.
The worst attitude I've ever seen on a human and or animal.
Oh man.
I will tell you right now, and I'm biased because Charlie was a black cat. Black cats are the sweetest cats in the world, and they
So-
have the straight up worst reputation, and they're the sweetest cats in the world.
Mhm.
So Tenney, we have a baby that we think that you should adopt. His name is Jimmy Changa, like Jimmy Changa. He was found outside of a Taco Bell.
That's good.
Chipotle was found outside.
Chipotle. He was found outside of a Chipotle, and he's a tiny little baby black cat. And Nicole's mom works for like a cat rescue, and
Mhm.
we babysat him when he was like literally like the size of a baby.
Bottle feeding him.
Yeah, like had to be bottle fed. And his name is Jimmy Changa, and he's the sweetest boy ever. And we will deliver him to you if you are open to having a new.
I want a bonded pair. I need two.
Mhm.
Well, we can get Jimmy Changa to like fall in love with a chalupa or something.
Well, she actually, my mom actually just got a litter of black cats too. So if you want a cat, hit me up.
We have
All
access.
right.
I'm
to
constantly
hundreds of thousands of cats.
such bottle feeding. So
My cat is.
All right, everybody, do your plugs. We got 3 minutes.
Yep. Okay. Well,
we are the Quite Unusual Podcast. You can listen to us on any streaming platform you listen to your podcast.
wherever you get your podcast.
You can follow us on social media. We're just Quite Unusual Pod on everything.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. We also can we plug our Patreon.
we have a Patreon too. Yeah, we've got that.
It's like everyone has all the things, right? We do technically have a TikTok, but Joshua's the TikTok king. So if you could teach me how to use it, that would be great.
Same. Hard same.
We have like a TikTok tutorial after this.
I'm down. I don't have any tricks or I'm down. Yeah, you can find me at Joshua Dairen, Dairen. I do some stuff for AO.com, their vintage page. I'm doing a little bit of stuff for BuzzFeed. I'm all over socials. I like to talk. Message me, send me story ideas. I own a coffee shop. DM us and we can send you some coffee in like a month.
And
We
Josh, you have to
sponsor
teach me how to use TikTok.
Alcon won't.
Josh,
sorry.
you have to teach me how to use TikTok too, because every single one of my TikToks is like 4.5 minutes long, and Jessica yells at me that nobody wants to watch anything that long.
It's too long.
None of us know how to TikTok.
I'm just
except
a
you.
lurker in the background. I don't post anything. I just watch everything.
Well, I tell myself I'm going to do ones of the podcast or of my business, and then I do ones of the dog, and that's all I do.
Yeah.
I'm down for a tutorial. I'll give you all my secrets.
We need a workshop.
We do.
We'll meet at Olive Garden and talk about the TikToks.
This sounds perfect.
We're 87 years old.
We have to meet in person to talk about the internet.
Yes.
Let me just log onto the internet really
What is
quick.
this thing called the TikToks? Hate it. Oh no, we only have like 7 minutes left.
How long until we meet up in the Patreon, Jess?
How long do you've been eating this whole fucking time? I need to
No, I
eat.
haven't eaten anything. I still have a full Impossible Burger.
We saw you eating that.
All right,
hamburger.
we'll be in the Patreon after show around 9:30 or 9:40.
9:30.
You have to make the link still, and I have to put it in there.
9:30.
Okay, 9:30.
God.
Patreon.com/What's Up Weirdo. We'll see you over there. Thank you to all our guests. You guys are so cute and perfect, and I love you. And I learned
for
so much.
having us.
Thank you,
Seriously.
Josh. Thank you, Noel. Thank you, Nicole.
Thanks for
Best
being
friends
available
forever.
and cute and fun and smart.
Jessica, get out here.
Oh, you guys are cool and fun and smart.
Yeah, nice meeting you, Joshua. Also.
Yeah,
Nice meeting
likewise. I am gonna literally follow you like as soon as I get off of here.
you.
Yay.
Okay, everybody say bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Closing time.